Lock in your seats for both series today at mariners.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions, you name it. These are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Wayscarford.com.
Scotland comes to the Pacific Northwest during the weekend of July 27th and 28th with the 77th Annual Pacific Northwest Scottish Highland Games and Clan Gathering at the Expo Center in Enumclaw. Competitive, colorful pipe bands and drummers from Washington, Oregon, and British Columbia will be featured alongside field events, some to include the popular caber toss and hammer throw. Traditional Scottish foods and gathering tents are also part of this festive weekend. For more information, go to www.sshga.org.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back at it finally, this time with a series against the Astros. Luis Castillo on the mound. Houston's coming to town hoping to leapfrog Seattle in the standings. When you think about it from the Mariners' point of view, though, it is a perfect opportunity to create more distance between you and the Astros if only your offense can show up. The Seahawks placed 7 players on the PUP list yesterday, including Abe Lucas, Tyrell Dodson, and Jerome Baker. No shocking names here, although it is worth noting that both drafted corners were placed on the non-football injury list. Here's the thing. None of this precludes any of these players from being ready for the start of the season or even from joining training camp. You can be lifted off the preseason PUP and NFI list at any time.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Finally, the Mariners have a chance to get back to playing. All this talk we've had all week long about how they can continue to improve and what they can do at the deadline, it's not hypothetical anymore. We are entering into the second half of July, entering into the second half of the season, 2 weeks or so away from the trade deadline, and obviously just a couple months left here. Now, Bump, this is where we're starting the show. I want people to feel a little angry.
Really?
Yeah.
Already?
I want to.
They always angry.
They always angry, but I want to poke some buttons here. I want to ruffle some feathers. I want people to just sit with this. Fangraphs, which is not like a definitive ranking of something, but it is a smart website with good analytics. Fangraphs has constantly updated projections for the percentage odds or the likelihood to get to the playoffs to win the division. The Mariners are 52-46 with a one-game lead in the AL West, a lead in the AL West that they have held on to since May. Since May, they have been leading this division. Guess which team Fangraphs has winning the AL West?
The Astros.
That is correct, Bump.
Wow.
I want the Mariners to feel disrespected heading into this series. You still have a one-game lead. Did you lose out on 9 games? Absolutely. That sucks. I hate that. You still have a one-game lead. You've been hanging on to that lead through much of the season. Fangraphs has the Astros beating you for a division title.
Yeah, you can be angry if you want to, or you can live in reality and say since June 18th, the Astros are 17-7. Since June 18th, the Mariners are 9-15. I'd probably pick them too, honestly. If you're looking at just exactly who the Astros are, how they've been playing, at this moment, yes, I would probably pick the Astros to win the division. Here's the great part about that. They at the house this weekend. They're here in T-Mobile. You have an opportunity to extend your lead. But no, numbers are numbers, trends are trends. I think you can feel disrespected, and you should, because you ride or die for your Seattle Mariners. But when you look at just the way these teams have been playing since June 18th, I'm just breaking it down to there, man, you can say, yeah, the Astros should be favorites. But you know what? They got to come here and win. And I feel like the Mariners are going to give them their best shot and hopefully come out of here with a division lead.
I don't like you being a voice of reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just disrespectful at this point to come in here with reason and rationale and understanding. You're not the only one. Tim Kirkjian on ESPN Radio called the Mariners the most vulnerable division leader.
The only division that I think is really up in the air is the AL West. I mean, Seattle's pitching is so good. It's ridiculous, the 5 guys that they send out there. But they don't score enough runs to be a runaway, and here come the Astros. So I'm not sure with a one-game lead we can even call them vulnerable, because they are by definition, but that's the one division. All these other divisions, these teams are really good, and they are for real. I don't see any of those just like completely falling apart, like the Guardians or the Brewers, who are kind of surprises to be playing this way. I just don't see that happening. They have something really good going, and I think it's going to continue.
I miss when the Astros started the season 12-24. You guys remember better, brighter days? Remember when the Astros were 12-24 and it just felt good for your
That was a long time
bones?
ago. You know how I know it was a long time ago? Because you brought out a single sheet of paper that you wrote notes on months ago, probably.
They started the season 12-24, and their final 23 games before the break, not only have they gone 17-6, guess how many runs they've averaged per game?
I'm going to guess like 6.
That's exactly right.
Man, felt right.
That's allowed in baseball?
Sorry, excuse me. Oh, you mean what? I thought you meant they've allowed. No, yeah, you can do that in baseball. I know people, we haven't seen it a lot here, but you can have 6 or more runs in a game, and I know that's really hard to believe, but that's what you're looking at. Their ERA has been essentially cut in half since their start to the season. Now, Tim Kirkjian on ESPN Radio in this cut pointed out that the Mariners are the most vulnerable division leader. It's not like, the way you look at the Guardians, the way you look at the Orioles or the Yankees.
They got company.
Thank you.
What about the East?
Yes.
Baltimore, the Yankees. I mean, Baltimore got a one-game lead over there.
Exactly.
They're not the most vulnerable. I think he's saying they're most likely to not end up winning their division out of all division leaders. But vulnerable right now, no, I'm looking at Baltimore. You're 3-7 in your last 10. The Yankees, they've been playing well their last 20.
No, their pitching's falling apart.
They're 4-6, and they're on your butt. So don't forget, don't just corner us right now.
Yeah.
I get you. We are vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's cold outside. I don't have a jacket. I'm vulnerable. I'm shaking. But don't forget the East, man. The Orioles had themselves a nice little lead over there. The Yankees, they've been going back and forth. They're in the mix, too.
Now, you are exactly right. In addition to all of that, the Astros could go on to win this division, and I still would think that this line is correct. This is not the best Astros team.
No.
This is not the Astros of years past. Now, this is an Astros team that has had some unprecedented injuries with their pitching. Some of those guys they're not getting back. They're hoping to get Verlander back by the end of the month. They're hoping to get Kyle Tucker back by the end of the month for their lineup. That's going to be huge. But they desperately need to add starting pitching. Ronel Blanco, who's been their most consistent arm, is approaching a career high in innings. His career high is 125 and a third. He's at 109. He's going to reach his career high in innings probably by the end of the month or heading into July when they still have a couple months left to play in the season. They've got question marks. This is not a perfect team. So as much as we want to point to the Mariners in a horrific offense, and none of that is wrong, this is a division you can win. Frankly, I think these players should feel disrespected by that. I think these players should feel defensive. I think, even though I'm looking at them going, well, do something, they should feel like they're the better team. They're not on paper, but you should be feeling like that right now.
Man, here's the tricky part about athletics, any team sport, even in individual sports. You have to convince yourself sometimes you're something that you're not.
Yes, that's what they need to do.
And the Mariners have to go out there and convince themselves that they are a team that is capable of putting up 5, 6, 7 runs in a series against these Astros. They have to convince themselves that they can get hot against not a rookie, not a reliever, but a starter named Blanco who has a no-hitter this year and almost 2 no-hitters this year. You got to convince yourself of that. And they can do that because they've shown it at times. It's not like they're wishing upon a star and asking for a performance that they've never seen before. No, they're wishing upon a star and saying, can we tap back into that just a few more times, especially in this series, so we can extend the lead. So convince yourself that you are a good ball club, because at times you have been a good ball club. Convince yourself that you can hit with runners in scoring position, because at times you have done that. Execution is what it's all about, though. And where the Astros have been struggling is on the mound and their health and all that stuff. You can lean into that and go into this series and say, okay, let's take advantage of their weakness. Let's lean on our strength and take care of the house.
Now, there is an urgency to add and an urgency to improve this team. If you are someone who's out on this season and you're looking at the Astros 1 game behind you, just ready to punt, shame on you. But also, that's your opinion, and I can't tell you, how to feel. I disagree with you, but whatever. We're going to play some sound later from John Morosi talking about the urgency to add at the deadline, but I'm not done kind of adding on and piling on to to people maybe feeling defensive. Now, Tim Kirkjian isn't the only one who thinks that the Mariners are vulnerable and that this is going to go to the Astros. This is MLB Tonight crew.
The Mariners will win the AL West if... Gosh, what did I say? You said if the Astros leave the division. Oh, yeah. Well, guys, my apologies to all my Mariners over there, but that's the only way that the Mariners win the division. If the Astros are in the National League like they were back in the day. It just seems like, and I remember we were on the show maybe 2 months ago, and I said, I think the Mariners and Rangers lost a chance to really stick it to the Astros because they were 12, 13 games under 5. Oh, the Astros look terrible and all this. They were 4 or 5 games out at the time. Yeah. I said you had to have stepped on their throat, turn the knife, and just bury them. Yeah. And they didn't. They're just too good. There's too much of a track record there. And now 1 game, that's a weekend.
There is a track record. They are a very good offense. But imagine hearing that and rolling over. Imagine hearing the only way you win the AL West is if the Astros go back to the National League. Hearing that and rolling over. Hearing that and not being aggressive at a deadline. Hearing that and not doing everything you can to improve.
My question is, who actually heard that? Is Jerry sitting there watching MLB Tonight and saying,
I would be playing this in the clubhouse.
Let me hear what they're talking about. Is Julio sitting at home on his couch? I imagine it's a beautiful home that he's purchased, saying, let's see what MLB crew is talking about. Now, when I played football, the media wasn't popping the way that it is, but there were ways for me to hear things. I remember, rest in peace, love this man, John Clayton, talking crap about me. My boys had to tell me, John Clayton said, man, you ain't going to make the team. No. Then I made the team, and I shook John's hand. I said, man, nice to meet you, right? So who's really sitting there and listening to this stuff? But I guarantee you these sentiments, these ideas are getting to these guys. Whatever it takes to motivate you, I'm fine. But we said this 100 times in the show. You can't play baseball harder. You can't just try harder.
Yeah.
Oh, MLB crew, they tripping. Let's go out and play crazy today. No, you have to be composed. You have to stick to your game plan, swing at good pitches, be good defensively. But whatever it takes to keep a chip on your shoulder, I'm all for that. You go ahead and get it. I would feel disrespected, but I doubt they're sitting here actually watching and listening to these guys. But word is getting back to them.
If I was not covering the Mariners, I would be looking at this team going, I can't. This offense is so atrocious. Like, they're just not going to be able to hang on to that lead. They're not going to be a threat when they get to the postseason. However, I am covering the Mariners, and I am here in Seattle. And so instead, I'm looking at the team with a different lens going, well, if you improve offensively to even just middle of the road, if Julio can get hot and maybe JP can turn something on, if you can add someone who can do something at the deadline, your rotation is good enough that you can be pretty competitive, or you can surprise some people, and you never know what happens in October, right? Always a surprise.
Yeah, there's so much baseball to be played. And that's exactly what the Astros were thinking when they were 12-24. Like, all right, we're down right now. There's so much baseball to be played. Let's see how the rest of the division does. And that's how the Mariners have to look at it. If I'm the Mariners, I'm going into the game and saying, look, we got a 1-game lead on these guys. We win this series, all right, minimum, we'll have 3-game lead on these guys. And then you get into a couple of series where you feel like you can win. They're not looking down the road the way that we do, obviously, but there's opportunity here. And it's nice when you can control your own destiny. And that's what you can do this weekend against the Astros. And if Jerry is correct, what he said last week, they don't view the Astros the same way. You don't look at the Astros and say, oh, my God, what are we going to do? Nah, you're looking at them saying we're 5-2 against these guys this year. They are at our house. They got the same batter's eye that we have that everyone's complaining about. Let's go out there and execute. But it starts with pitching, and then it goes to Julio, and everyone else got to pick up the slack, man. I'm looking at Luke. He's 0-for-11 his last 11 ABs. I'm looking at Polanco. Had a 3-game stretch where he looked good, then he fills it off a little bit. I'm looking at JP. Last time we saw him, he hit a bomb. Like, those are the guys who need to step up. We'll see if they do it. But, again, just lean on your pitching and contribute where you can.
Maybe my approach shouldn't matter at all since I'm not a skipper, never will be, and have never been qualified to be one. But if I was Scott, this cut right here that I played.
The Mariners will win the AL West if, gosh, what did I say? You said if the Astros leave the division. Oh, yeah.
I'd have that on repeat. I would play that on repeat in the clubhouse. Remember when, was it Cole Irvin, Curtis? Who said, you never want to lose against a team like that, or you never want to have a performance. We heard rumors that the Mariners clubhouse printed off that quote from a tweet and then left it in the clubhouse so that players could see it. You know how good they've been against Cole Irvin since then?
Yeah.
I am not saying that,
like 5 times that season.
I'm not saying that Mariners players being made very much aware of the doubt surrounding them will suddenly make the offense great. We've had doubt about the offense all year long, and it's still been pretty awful. But I do hope that there's that chip on the shoulder feeling of disrespect with knowing, hey, here comes the big bad wolf once again. Here comes the bully on the playground once again. Can you pack a punch? Can you beat him this time? It's completely up to you. That's how it is when you have a lead compared to how it's been in previous seasons where it's like, oh, you're closing in on the Astros. What if you can do it?
I think they have to have that mentality of disrespect, but they also have to have the mentality that we got to do better. Because if you do continue with this trend, there's a reason why they're laughing right now on MLB Network. There's a reason why they're saying, oh, man, only way is if the Astros leave the division. It's because you had a 10-game lead. You had a 10-game lead, and it evaporated. Within a couple weeks, it is gone. The same way you have to have the pride of going out there and competing is the same way you have to live in reality and say, all right, what did we do to get here? Now, let's fix these things. Let's own it. Own who you've been, but also work towards something that you've also been, which is a team that is scrappy, that wins close one-run games, that relies on their pitching, that can get hot at times, that might have a superstar who's starting to look like a superstar in the month of July. There are some good things, even though you're only up one. There's some good things this team has done over the first half of the season that you can lean on. So lean on that, take the disrespect, bow up, and let's get a sweep.
I cannot stress how important a sweep in particular is to the building of a narrative, right? When you talk about the numbers stacking up against the Mariners, well, it's your offensive stats. Now it's FanGraphs with their odds for, making the playoffs or winning the division, with the Astros having a slight edge over you, 45.6% chance to win the AL West compared to your odds to win the AL West. That's a bummer. That's not fun that people are widely assuming the Astros are going to take it from you. There's a track record there that you lean to, but also a sweep changes that a little bit. It doesn't guarantee you're going to do it, obviously, but you need nothing more than to enter after the All-Star break making some kind of statement.
There's a reason why people think this, or analysts think this, and you've mentioned it, because of the track record, because of the way that you've been playing, and because the Astros are a team that have been there, done that, 6 division titles in a row, 6 or 7 of them things in a row. So they're going to count you out. That's nothing new. The only thing, what's different this year is that your pitching is on a whole different level. So change the narrative, and it starts tonight. Get her done.
All right, Seahawks training camp starts next week. We want to send one of you and 3 friends to watch camp in person. All you need to do is open the Seattle Sports app, and then click the Win tab to find out how. If you don't already have the app, you can download it on the App Store, or if it's easier, you can just simply text the word app, A-P-P, to 866-979-3776. That's our regular text line, and we'll send you a link to download. The contest runs through Sunday, July 21st. That's this Sunday, so do that quickly. Seattle Sports is your home for the Seahawks and for training camp coverage. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, the Seahawks have placed 7 players on the PUP list yesterday, including Abe Lucas, Tyrell Dodson, and Jerome Baker. What's the real headline?
We're not shocked, but we're not feeling great.
Here's the thing. You mentioned it in the snapshot that all these guys are still eligible to play during the regular season. But you have 3 healthy linebackers right now. You got Radigan, Tyrese Knight, Patrick O'Neal. Dotson, Baker, Gibbs, and Drake Thomas are all banged up. I need to see Baker. I need to see Dotson. It's hard for me to buy in that these guys are going to be good. And these coaches study these guys. They watch their film. They know what their intellect is like when it comes to football. They might have full belief in these guys, and if they do, then so will I when week 1 rolls around. But I'm looking at just reps. You need repetition. I don't care how many years you've been in the league, what you did the year before, you need reps. So I'm looking forward to seeing them out there. I'm not panicking right now, but the closer you get to the regular season and you haven't seen the 2 guys who should have the most tackles on your team, if you haven't seen them wrap another man up and drive him to the ground or grab cloth and drive those feet, there's going to be some doubt there. So I just need to see him. I'm sure they'll be fine, but I need to see him.
One thing that I want to add on to this right before we get to the next headline is just a note about how this works. Many of you already know this, but I did see 1 or 2 questions. The preseason PUP list is not the regular PUP list. So none of this means that any of these players need to miss time or can't play in games for the first 4 games of the season. You can be lifted off of this list at any point during training camp, but if you are placed on it during the final roster cut down, then that's when you have to miss the games. But basically what I'm saying is don't panic yet. This doesn't mean anything for them missing time just yet.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, Tiger Woods missed the cut in the Open Championship today. His 6th missed cut in his last 7 majors. What's the real headline?
And for the 6th time in the last 7 majors, I won't be watching the final rounds.
Yeah, I will because I love the game.
You're sick, though.
Yeah, you have a problem.
You know, I'm watching DeChambeau right now walk down the fairway. Here's the thing. You can't win if you only play in major championships. There's a reason why they're majors. Those are the toughest tournaments to win in the world, and Tiger is only showing up to those because his body can't handle it. I'm interested to see how he handles the next year. Maybe you sprinkle him 2 or 3 more. But any golfer knows, man, I'm not just going to show up at Chambers after not playing for 3 or 4 months and expect anything great. I'm not going to show up to Tumble Creek at Suncadia and without playing for 3 or 4 months and expect anything. The thing about Tiger is he's an ultimate competitor. He's going to keep showing up, and he should. As long as he wants to play, he should show up. But if he's not going to compete in other tournaments to prepare for these, you can't expect much out of him. So that's the reality of the situation. But as long as Tiger is on the TV screen, I will be watching.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, the Mariners are going with Brian Wu on Sunday's series finale rather than All-Star Logan Gilbert. What's the real headline?
Logan's scheduled to start the season finale, but can you afford to think about September with only a 1-game lead in July?
That's the baffling thing to me. Like, I understand the thought process behind it, but I'm also like, we got to take care of the now. Because you can get to later on in the season, and now you're down 4 or 5 games, and you had an advantage or a situation here at home to where you can take advantage of it. But I trust them. They have a process. They, when it comes to the arms and the mound or whatnot, that's what they're best at. So I'm just going to lean on their expertise. But that is my concern. Is I'm thinking let's walk out of this weekend with a 4-game lead.
Yeah, Salk was explaining his theory on the strategy this morning, which overall I can co-sign. Like overall I can get behind it. I'm not mad at it. I just wonder if it's like could you have implemented it maybe after this series in terms of getting Logan behind Brian Wu in the rotation regularly? Like, could you have just waited until after this one and maybe moved a couple things around?
What do they always say in sports? 1 game at a time. This ain't 1 game at a time. This is planning way down the line. And like I said, they're the guys making the decisions with the arms. They've done great so far with all that, so I'll trust them and lean on them. But, man, I just want to take care of this one so bad. Winning this series and possibly sweeping the Astros in this series can do so much for your team, for the mental. I remember when I was playing ball, I used to constantly look at the standings, right? In football, you only have, 12, 13 games in college, 16 in the NFL. But I'm always looking at the standings like it's going to change from a Monday to a Wednesday. But mentally, I'm preparing myself like, okay, these are the things that we have to handle. Take care of this game. We'll see what's going on. The mental game is so important, especially in baseball. But I'll lean on them. This is your strategy. Hope it works out. And if they end up sweeping the Astros, they'll look like geniuses.
So because this series starts today, we do have a lot of Mariners talk today, previewing this series, talking about standings, looking at the trade deadline. The first hour is going to be Mariners. We're going to talk about some moves the front office could make at 10:45. Listen to the latest from Jeff Passan. At 11, about 40 minutes from now, ESPN's Jesse Rogers is going to join us. He's got some ties to Chicago, so we're also going to ask him about whether or not the Cubs could be sellers at the deadline, and maybe Cody Bellinger is available. Who knows? That doesn't mean we are not talking Seahawks, not talking NFL. Training camp starts less than a week from now. The Athletics' Robert Mays is going to join us at noon. So starting around noon, we're going heavy Seahawks. So if that's what you're waiting for, just hang tight. It's coming your way, I promise. But we're sticking with the Mariners. The latest from Jeff Passan next.
Seahawks training camp starts in 5 days, and we want to send one of you and 3 friends to watch in person. All you need to do is open the Seattle Sports app and click the Win tab to find out how. If you don't already have the app, simply text app to 866-979-3776, and we'll send you a link to download. This contest runs through Sunday, July 21st. Seattle Sports is the home of the Seahawks, and your home for training camp.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go with the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology. Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit LexusofBellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS, lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
For generations, Shane Company has had a passion for gemstones. We've worked with the same diamond sources who reserve the best rough stones just for us. Once cut and polished, we take our time to handpick the best of the best. We're known for our rainbow of colors, 16 different shades of natural sapphires. At Shane Company, we truly obsess over cutting each stone to reveal its richest color and vibrancy. And we'll continue to source the most beautiful gemstones on Earth so that you can always shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients, and you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
Paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Did you know AG Bob Ferguson is responsible for Washington being the only state with a social media advertising ban on political speech? In 2019, Bob's lawsuits made Washington the only state that doesn't allow you to run political ads on social media. Voter beware, because Bob's vendetta against your free speech won't stop when Bob gets what he wants. Governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 128-3 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know! Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In South Center, Bellevue, Linwood, Federal Way, and Tacoma, Video Only.
Sinking or uneven concrete around your home? You need to call Matt Vey Foundation Repair.
Hi, I'm Matthew Cote with Matt Vey Foundation Repair. If you have an uneven, cracked driveway, sunken sidewalk, or sagging cement porch, we offer an easy and cost-effective solution.
When you call Matt Vey, you'll get a realistic bid, meticulous cleanup, and a lifetime warranty. No one else offers that kind of guarantee. For your free evaluation, call 8449-MATT-VEY or visit gomattvey.com.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
ESPN's Jeff Passan was on with Brock and Salk this morning talking about potential acquisitions at the deadline for the Mariners. We already know Seattle's looking for an impact bat. This offense badly needs one, so let's figure out who they could add. A name that's been mentioned a ton that you and I haven't talked about is Oakland's Brent Rooker. Here's what Jeff Passan had to say about him.
Like, he's having the kind of year this year that Mitch Garver had last year, right? A little bit more power, more playing time. He's not a good outfielder, but if you want a bat, he has a chance to be the best impact bat that you can get. He is prone to some very rough stretches. So when he's hot, he's really hot. When he's not, he is really not. So you need to understand there's going to be some bad with that good, but I'm with you. He's probably, if not at the top of the list, then certainly near it.
Look, there's no sure thing at the deadline. If anyone was hoping to find someone that's going to come in hitting 300 who can guarantee you a home run every series, I don't know what to tell you. That guy's not available. But Bump, how would you feel about a bat like Rooker's?
He'd be the best bat on the team right now. The best bat on the team. Defensively, I understand he's a liability at times. I think you can deal with some of those, right? But what's the problem with his team? It's producing runs. It's run support. It's helping out the guys on the mound. Batting .291, on base at .369. Damn, she's fine. Slugging at .573 and OPS at .942.
You cannot say it. You truly cannot say it.
You have to. If you're a millennial or older, you feel me.
You can't stop your body from saying
it's
it.
Natural. So he'd be the best on the team. So now we got to talk about what you're giving up. Hopefully as prospects, you're talking about the A's anyway. You would think they want young talent, guys that they have club control over. No, I'm with it. He'd be the best bat on the team right now.
All right, let's go to Jonathan India. If Cincinnati ends up selling, this is what he had to say about that fit.
Jonathan India is a perfectly good baseball player. I don't think the Mariners need perfectly good baseball players at this point. I think they need really good.
But they might need both. They might need a really good player and a guy like Jonathan India.
You're right. If they were to get Paredes and India or Rooker and India, if they were to be able to pull off the little daily double there, yeah, that's fair.
Outside of an 804 APS, which is great, Jonathan India doesn't bring like a bunch of power that the Mariners offense badly needs.
No, I mean, he's driving some runs in, 38 RBIs on the year so far. No. And he's a second baseman, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Second base. So what are you going to do with Polanco? How do you move those guys playing defense? That's my question right there. I feel like we've been talking about Jonathan India for a couple years now, right? Last year we were talking about him as well. It's fine. It doesn't move me the way that Rooker does. He does have some better numbers in certain areas than, say, the guys who are in the middle of the pack when it comes to the Mariners. Mm-hmm. A fine move doesn't move me the way that Rooker does.
Does or would a trade for Isaac Paredes? Here's what Passan had to say.
That's the one that, to me, is the fit, right? I think if the Mariners have a realistic, reasonable option, it's probably Isaac Paredes. When you're giving up a prospect, and he's going to cost a guy, like he's good enough that he's going to cost someone who it would sting for you to give up. He does one thing better than just about everyone in the game. He hits for power to the pull side, which is a great skill to have.
He's also striking out 17.1% of the time. Right now, I know that can be much higher, but that's a nice little swap of where you've typically been as a lineup. What do you think?
Now, the best guys in the game right now are striking out like 50-something times. Minus Judge, he's around 106, but you'll deal with that because he's slugging and hitting for power and bombs and stuff. He was an all-star this year. He's young. He's 25 years old. He would lead the team in extra bases right now. He would lead the team in OPS. He'd be second in home runs. He would lead in slugging when it comes to everyday guys, and he was an all-star. When you're looking to add to a team like the Mariners, you want to add all-stars, right? Mm-hmm. You want to add guys with some pop and who are young. I like this move, can play multiple positions, third base, second base, first base. So I always think about the guys who are here. Like, well, all right, what are you going to do? Which guy are you getting rid of? Who is he going to take time away from? But you get a prospect like, not a prospect, an athlete like this, I'm all for it.
I don't know how else to say it other than I don't want them to trade for a bat I have to Google. And I want it to be a name that immediately, even if he's not at his very best, and most bats won't. Like, you're not going to get the very best Cody Bellinger if if he ends up being available. You're not going to get the very best of anyone because those guys just aren't going to be available at the deadline. But I want it to be a name that I see and go, nice.
Well, you get the best of Rooker. I think if there's anyone you're gonna,
you're gonna
get like, okay, he's on top of his game right now, is going to be from a team that has nothing to live for, like the Athletics.
Just don't make a lateral move where you move, like a prospect, like a lower tiered prospect, and then bring in someone who can just barely do something where, he's not going to be a regular part of your lineup even, or he's going to be hitting like eighth. I want a name I don't even have to take out my phone and Google. I immediately know, nice, that sends a message.
Yeah, because those are the guys that you can count on to contribute. Nothing in sports is guaranteed, but I'm not going to lie. I had to look up Rojas when they grabbed him. Urias had to look him up as well. I was familiar with Polanco because I've watched enough baseball, but I still, all right, let's see what he's been doing as of late. With the names that we just mentioned, minus India, we've been talking about India for a couple years, and doesn't overwhelm me, doesn't move me at all. But now we're talking about Rooker, and we're talking about, is it Isaac, or he said Isaac?
Isaac's the correct pronunciation.
It's spelled like Isaac.
Yeah, it's spelled like Isaac.
I read Isaac too.
Yeah.
I guess Isaac. You know those guys, you see their production, and you can believe in them. I'm not for taking a chance on India, who's just okay. We got enough of just okay guys on the squad right now.
Jazz Chisholm is another name that's been linked. Marlins would certainly be sellers, but there are questions about him as a clubhouse fit. Here's what Jeff Passan said.
I think anybody who goes out and calls out Miguel Rojas in the fashion that he did, Miguel Rojas, who's universally recognized as a very good guy and a good clubhouse guy. I think Jazz is like that classic case where you have somebody who is super talented and really toolsy. And maybe he just needs to go to a different play and be in a different environment where he can put it all together. But I think Skip Schumacher's a good manager, man. I think Skip Schumacher's a really good manager. And if somebody who grew up like in the Tony La Russa tree and has seen what good managers look like can't exactly compel him to be a good citizen, I wonder what happens when you have a clubhouse that all, in the past had issues with how Scott Service handled things.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, character is always an issue, right? The only way it's not an issue is if you are putting up numbers that just makes organizations ignore some of your character flaws. He's not doing that, and he's striking out at a high clip. So are you really getting rid of strikeouts? What are you gaining out of this young man? Does have 42 RBIs and 12 home runs. And he's the type of player that I feel like you already have, honestly, without the attitude or without whatever. I don't know him personally. All I can do is go off of what I'm hearing out of these clips and what I read about him. So I look at the whole situation and go, well, is it worth the headache if he is going to bring a headache? A guy like Isaac, if he has a little bit of a headache, I'll deal with that a little bit, and maybe he'll conform and do it the Mariner way. A guy like Jazz, with all the questions that you have about character or whatnot, and you look at the numbers, it goes, yeah, you got a couple of guys like that already.
We've listened to a lot of Jerry DiPoto, first on Sirius XM talking about the deadline, and then on Brock and Salk talking about the deadline. He has, in neither of those interviews, sounded especially optimistic that there's going to be some great options available. As we wrap this up, talking about all these names, talking about what they need to add, do you remain optimistic they can or will?
Yeah, I think when you're dealing with teams like the Athletics, you have real conversations with them, and you try to grab Rooker. Because if anyone's selling, it's going to be those guys. They've already sold their souls and have these guys playing in a minor league park. I'm just saying. You have to deal with desperate teams. A's are desperate.
Listener earlier in the show when you and I played the cut from MLB Tonight, the crew talking about the only way the Mariners win the West, it sounded like this.
The Mariners will win the AL West if... Gosh, what did I say? You said if the Astros leave the division. Oh, yeah.
I said that if I was Scott Service, I would play that on repeat in the clubhouse so that players could kind of like further develop that chip on their shoulder. However, someone said, I think over Scott, I take that little clip from MLB Network and play it on repeat in the owner's office. Now, there is a clip I would play on repeat in the owner's office and front office. It would not be that one, though. I'll play what it is next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
We are getting dangerously close, Brock, to the deadline, and still there's not a tremendous amount of action right now at all, that nobody's making deals.
The obvious is the congested standings. 20-some teams are still alive, have some hope.
But I'm going to keep pushing a couple of names that make the most sense to me. Brent Rooker, Yandy Diaz, and Isaac Paredes are going to be the three that I'm going to have my eyes on the most.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscarf Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions. You name it. These are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford Isuzu in Auburn. Wayscarford.com.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer.
I spoke with Dr. Meyer, the medical director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, and Dr. Meyer said Swedish CyberKnife patients are really satisfied with their experience. They report very few side effects, and they're seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later. To learn more about CyberKnife for prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate or call 206-320-7187. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go, so I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like Certainty Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase Certainty through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon, always building.
Help create a future with no more victims. Join Molly Shen and the Davis Law Group at Walk Like Mad, September 22nd at Magnuson Park. Walk Like Mad raises awareness and funds to help end drunk driving and prevent underage drinking. Every step taken and every dollar raised can help keep our families and communities safe. Sign up to walk or join our team at maddwashington.com. That's MADD Washington.com. Walk Like Mad, September 22nd at Magnuson Park. Register today.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
For over 111 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington. From the Space Needle in Seattle and now all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist you with any lighting issue, as well as help with intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting expert since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Summer is here, and now's the time to break through those weight loss frustrations. Hey, it's Dr. Coogan with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, and we have a proven system that can help you lose weight and get healthy. No drugs, no side effects, no calorie counting, no exercise. Just teaching you the simple steps to become a fat-burning machine and keep it off long-term. Remove the stress of trying to do this on your own and picture being down 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days with our help. At Eastside Weight Loss Clinic, we know the secret for fast and lasting weight loss using real healthy foods and lifestyle changes. Schedule your free consultation online at eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
There's a lot of different weight loss plans out there, but one thing that sets this one apart is that you are eating real food that you buy at the grocery store. There's nothing fake about it. It is 100% genuine. The food tastes good. And again, it's real.
Our program has successfully helped thousands of people lose up to 10 to 20% of their body weight in 60 days. You can start our program in person in Kirkland or virtually from anywhere you live. Schedule your free phone consultation today by calling 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
In 15 minutes, we're going to be joined by ESPN's Jesse Rogers for some talk of the trade deadline, what the Mariners need to add, who could be available. Is Cody Bellinger a name they could target? All those conversations 15 minutes away. Before we get to it, Earlier, we played a cut from the MLB Tonight crew joking about the only way the Mariners could win the West is if the Astros go back to the National League or like leave the planet. And then they were all laughing about it. And we joked that, look, if I'm Scott Service, I'm playing this in the clubhouse regularly. I'm letting players know no one thinks you can do this, especially ahead of this series. Someone texted in and said, I think over Scott, I take that little clip from MLB Network and I play it on repeat in the owner's office because they're the ones who should be owning the failures of this team. Now, I think that you can look at ownership, you can look at the front office and say exactly that. That's not the clip I would play, though. I would instead play this one from John Morosi.
I recall back to 2017, the Houston Astros, if you remember that year, they did not make a big splash at the deadline. The players revolted in a way and talked about it publicly in the next couple of days about what a missed opportunity it was. And that was in the old days of the waiver deadline, and they were able to still get Verlander on August 31st. Now, the Mariners don't have that luxury, but the Mariners do remember that the guy that we've talked about a lot as being kind of the conscience of the clubhouse in Cal Raleigh. We know what he said last year, and I think that emotion of the unfulfilled potential of last season is lingering. And for that reason, it's clear what they've got to do.
I would play that constantly, Bump, because I would want them to know there is a message you send no matter what you do.
So we're having fun. We're saying we will play that, but Scott ain't trying to get fired. He ain't doing that, right? But for the sake of argument, for the sake of conversation, there are some things you wish that you could do. I'd play that one. I'd play the one that the texter suggested. And I don't know what the relationship is like with Scott and the guys upstairs. The way it's portrayed is Scott's like, look, I just show up and do my job. I have no control over what's done, who's in, who's out. Whoever's in the dugout that day, those are the guys that I'm going to rock with. But you would think he has to have some type of influence, some type of input when it comes to what this team needs to take that next step. If Scott is having some candid conversations with the guys upstairs and nothing is done, what does that do for the relationship between Scott and those guys? Because I find it hard to believe that a guy who takes a lot of the heat, Scott takes a lot of the heat, I think Jared takes most of it, but Scott takes some of it, it's just going to sit there and watch this team be deficient in places and say, hey, there's nothing I can do about it. I encourage Scott, if you're listening, Scott, I don't know, send a text or something and ask these guys for help, because we have literally watched an opportunity just dwindle away. Like, it's like sand on the beach. It's flowing away from you, and you're watching it pass you by, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you're hoping that something changes with the guys that you already have. 90-plus games in, I don't think much is going to change. I think little victories are going to be there. I think Julio's going to play better. I think me and Curtis were talking about how Luke isn't hitting for power as of late. I think maybe Luke is going to have a stretch where he hits for power, but what you have now just isn't enough. So however you can get a message across, I think you do that. I just don't know how Scott does that to the guys upstairs.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's not for us to figure out. Instead, what we're going to do is just talk about the place that they're in, what they need. And again, what they need is a conversation that continues next. But as far as the place that they're in, it's kind of like that whole saying of like, not doing something still says something. Like, no, the Mariners are in such a position where no matter what you do as ownership, no matter what you do as a front office, sends a message. Yeah. If you don't do anything, it sends a message. If you make a small move, it sends a message. If you make a big move, it sends a message. You cannot fix this offense and make this offense one of the best in baseball. You cannot do that. And you put yourself in this place, by the way. It's too late for that. What it's not too late for is doing something to send a message. And then the onus, a positive message. The onus then becomes on the players. Hey, if we add as best a bat as we can find at the deadline, now it's on you guys too. And you don't get to come, fingers crossed well late into the season. But like, let's say they don't make the playoffs. Well, how much finger pointing can you really make when we did everything we could do at the deadline to make this a really competitive club?
My only pushback as a player would be, at least internally, was that, well, if you did what you could have done during the offseason, then maybe we're not even in this position.
And if that's the case, then if I were Jerry, I'd say, well, Cal, maybe you shouldn't be hitting around 200, or, well, Julio, maybe you could have been a little
going
hotter.
back and forth? If I'm Cal, I'm saying, I'm a dang catcher, dog. I'm a catcher.
Exactly.
I'm in a squat
and
for
you're not
2.5 hours for 90% of the season. I'm tired.
You're not wrong.
I'm still hitting bombs for you, though.
Fundamentally, I think the problem with the Mariners last year, year before this year, has been you haven't added enough good talent.
Yeah.
You get guys that have one all-star season several years ago, and you think maybe we can wring more out of the sponge, a saying that Brandon Gustafson said when he was here that I thought was perfect. That's fundamentally the problem with this team, and that is a problem about spending and payroll. It is a problem about talent acquisition, and then it plays out in a not hitter-friendly ballpark. However, there is some accountability on the part of players currently on this roster, and
for sure.
I wonder if sometimes sending a message does something mentally, does something emotionally, does something to a clubhouse that ends up playing out on the field. In this case, at bat.
For sure. And I'm glad you point that out because players aren't robots. They feel things. They understand situations. You think these players aren't having conversations like the best players on this team? Let's go Cal, Julio, throw Walter in the mix. And I guarantee there are conversations where they're saying, man, if we just had one more bat, the things that we can do with this team. Not knocking anyone who's on the roster right now.
It is,
but
though.
you look at the squad and say, boom, when I played for the 4-12 Seahawks, I looked in that locker room and I go, yeah, we probably don't have enough to beat the Niners this week. You know, you live in your reality. You understand who your team is, especially when you're this deep into the season. Do they know who? Is the perception of the team in the clubhouse the same as it is upstairs? Are the guys in the clubhouse saying, a couple guys will help us? Or are the guys in the upstairs saying, well, they just need to play better? And are they focused on the same things? Are they focused on the same type of player? I think there's a disconnect right there. And both are in different situations. DePoto only has X amount of dollars to spend, and there's some strategy that goes into it. Me and Curtis were talking about Rooker during the break. We're like, Rooker would be perfect. You think other teams ain't looking at him and saying, yeah, we need that kid. Yeah, we're gonna put our bid in as well. Shoot or shoot, right? The worst they can say is no. And the A's might say no because they have a better offer over there. And so it's not as easy as these are the guys who would make a good fit. Let's go get them. There's other teams that are competing for the same guys. And what we've seen over the past few years is that when it comes to getting top talent, either the Mariners don't do enough or they just aren't interested and they go for the bargain. That's the concerning part about this.
You know what? So we talked about exactly. You speak of bargain, and budget is obviously that kind of like elephant in the room conversation that we have about the Mariners, where you are limited in what you can do. If the Mariners and Jerry and Justin fundamentally thought the pieces they added would be significantly better than they are, that's a bigger problem. We don't know that that's what they thought. We think that there was a little bit of rolling of the dice, a little bit of hope, a little bit of like, well, this could work kind of going on there, like a reclamation project for certain things. I would play that clip in the front office. If I were Jerry, I would have that Seattle Times column of John Stanton saying, we want to win the West, and that Jerry and Justin have my support. I would bring it back, and I'd be like, hey, this is what I need to win the West. You want to win the West? This is what I need.
Yep.
And as for what they actually need, we're going to talk about it next with ESPN's Jesse Rogers.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We got our guy Brady Henderson in studio with us.
Weekdays 2 to 7.
Devin Witherspoon, in my opinion, was the best player on this team last year. Who was the best player in your mind?
There's a case to be made that he is their best player on either side of the ball. You'd be hard-pressed, I think, to find a better player, more impactful player on that team. Now, DK Metcalf is a great player, Leonard Williams as well. But yeah, I would probably say that if I had to pick, I would say Devin Witherspoon.
Don't miss an hour of the show. Find the podcast at seattlesports.com.
We all recognize that we have to work as a team and really be intentional in how we treat our customers and how we treat each other.
Working together. Lee Johnson employees understand what it takes to fulfill the purpose of their day.
I'm no more important than a salesperson. Even Randy. Randy is no more important than a salesperson, and Randy makes you know that every single day. You are valuable, that he couldn't do it without you. I'm not saying we don't get frustrated. You try to remember that we are together. We are a team. Everyone respects everyone else's abilities and talent. And without that thought process, you're sunk. And gosh, why wouldn't you want to work for a company that instills that in you? Right?
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
X marks the spot. Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract for just $15 a month. You can add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix. That's Xfinity internet and Stream Saver for just $35 a month. All of your favorites, all in one place, only for my friends at Xfinity. So go ahead and binge some shows, stream some movies, and save some money all at the same time. For more watching and less spending, X marks the spot. Switch to Xfinity, the network made for streaming, and bring on the good stuff. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or go visit a local store today. Restrictions do apply. Internet offer requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV, and price subject to change. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, Accurate Auto Body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, Accurate Auto Body.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kidkind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients, and you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back at it finally, this time with a series against the Astros. Luis Castillo on the mound. Houston's coming to town hoping to leapfrog Seattle in the standings. And when you think about it from the Mariners' point of view, it's a perfect opportunity, that to create more distance between you and the Astros if only your offense can show up. The Seahawks placed 7 players on the PUP list yesterday, including Abe Lucas, Tyrell Dodson, and Jerome Baker. None of that precludes any of these players from being ready for the start of the season, since a player can be lifted off the preseason PUP list at any time during camp.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. from the Quantum Fiber Studio
This is Bump and Stacy.
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
ESPN's Jesse Rogers joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. We have plenty of conversation to have about the trade deadline. Before we get to it, Jesse, the last time we had you on, you were pulled over live on radio. Are you safely to the side of the road? Are you in an office? Where are you?
Oh, that's so funny. I forgot about that. I'm at Wrigley Field. I don't think I can get arrested at Wrigley Field. I'm safe.
Perfect. Wonderful. All right, then we'll go ahead and head to some of these trade targets. One of the names that we've been talking about a ton locally, and it's cooled off though, is Luis Robert. Basically, we are desperate to find an impact bat at the deadline. Jesse, whether it's Luis or whether it's an impact bat, do you feel like there is that bat available, or are those options kind of simmering?
No, I think they're available. I think they're available. Let's go to the other side of town as well, where I am. Cody Bellinger should be available. I think whether the Cubs buy or sell, he might be available. But he comes with a hefty price tag, as does Luis Robert, something, honestly, the Mariners haven't always, dove into in terms of bringing in the higher price guys, right? So it remains to be seen if Seattle would do that. But there's certainly going to be a few bats available. Lane Thomas of the Washington Nationals. I mean, there's different degrees. But I think Seattle is probably as desperate as anybody. I think the Yankees are going to jump into the hitting market. So you have to be ready to give up something to get something. And if you're getting, a guy like Luis Robert, years of under contract, it's going to cost for sure. Bellinger won't be as big of a prospect base because he's owed $30 million next year and the year after, and he's just not the slugger he used to be. So it might cost you in terms of dollars, but it won't cost you as many prospects. There are going to be hitters available for sure, coming down to the wire for sure.
Jesse, you just hurt my heart because whenever you throw the Yankees in the mix, guys who are willing to spend some money, I just look at the Mariners, I shake my head, I go, you're probably not going to be able to compete with some of these guys. So I prepared myself just for the underwhelming type of move. You talked about Luis Robert. You talked about Cody Bellinger. Is there an underwhelming move that you feel like could help the Mariners in a big way?
An underwhelming move. That's an interesting way of putting it, but that's kind of been their MO, right? I remember, they've taken a lot of criticism over the years at the deadline. I just talked to Paul Sewald, if you recall. I tweeted it, I think, or maybe wrote it in spring training, the former closer. I know he's outspoken in general, but, he was critical of what went down in Seattle. So that's probably the right way to say it, an underwhelming move. And Jerry DiPoto, there's a phrase I used to hear a lot from a former player: don't confuse activity with accomplishment. And I bet that phrase applies to the Mariners because they'll make a lot of moves, but are they accomplishing something? Now, let's not forget, they're at the top of the division. So it's like, let's not give them too much crap, but it's all because of their pitching staff. I don't know if you can finish last in batting average, as antiquated as that stat is, and still win the division or go very far in the postseason. So all of that is to say that I think there's some underwhelming bats to be had, whether it be, like I said, Lane Thomas of the Nationals. I'm trying to think of a couple others that could get moved that are sort of the underwhelming. I mean, if the Giants end up selling Jorge Soler or something like that, I think there's a bunch of teams that have decent hitters that are in the mix that if they decide to sell, that could be fruitful for the Mariners, especially if they're willing to take up some salary. If Arizona falls out of it, Jock Peterson would be a good addition to a team. So I think that's the key. Which teams are going to sort of fall out of it, and at that point, the Mariners should want to pounce. But even without that, we know there's going to be some hitters available, and I think the Mariners should pounce either way.
Hey, so big conversation, Jesse, that we're having here in Seattle this weekend is obviously about this big series against Houston. I'm sure the Astros and their fans see it as a great opportunity to leapfrog Seattle and take the AL West Division lead. There's also an opportunity for Seattle. I wanted to just get your perspective on Houston this year, what they're doing, whether you buy into them as being quite as good as they've been in years past, whether you still have some lingering questions. How are you seeing Houston right now?
Oh, I think Houston's coming, and they're coming strong. I didn't love them a month ago like everyone else. I thought, okay, it's the end of the dynasty. But once they turned on the Jets here and saw, kind of got to Seattle in their sights, I would probably, and I picked Seattle to win the division, if you recall. I would probably put money on Houston right now. I just like the vibe. Maybe it's their last stand with the group as is, since Bregman's going to be a free agent, and they're getting healthy. Tucker, Jim Crane, the owner, is going to be aggressive. I mean, I can understand if Seattle fans thought, why aren't we like Houston when it comes to these moments? So I would not bet against Houston at all. Getting healthy is key for them, and then they'll add something by the end of the month. It's just how they operate. You want to see Seattle match that aggressiveness for sure.
Jesse, this might be a dumb question, but I don't know, so I'm going to ask it. What is what's the relationship like between the skip and the guys upstairs? Because Service and kind of like paints this picture of, look, I'm showing up and I'm doing my job. Whoever is in the dugout, that's who I'm going to rock with. As far as you know, what is the typical communication between the skip and the guys upstairs, and do they have any type of influence on the moves that are made?
Yeah, like you said, I'm arm's length away from it. But Service is I put him in this category. You kind of just referenced it. He stays in his lane. That's what I understand about him. And there are guys like that just stay in their lane. The guy that's managing the Cubs now is not like that. The Cubs hired Craig Counsell. He has his hands in all parts of the organization, or he will over time. It's just his first year, including player personnel. I don't believe Service, he's more of like the previous Cubs manager, David Ross, kind of stays in his lane. That's just my understanding from a distance. So, of course, there's conversations, but ultimately I think it is the front office giving him the players with his input, but he kind of stays in his own lane, is everything I know about Scott Service. And frankly, I do think, I was going over this with some people at the All-Star game, people in the game, other media. I do think Service has to do something somewhat special. I think there's a bunch of guys like that, a bunch of managers. I wouldn't say they're on the chopping block necessarily, but teams are going to look at them and say, okay, have we maxed out our situation? Do we need someone else to take us to the next level kind of thing? I do think Service is in the team photo of those sort of guys. But look, they're in first place right now, and who cares how you get there? As long as you win the division, if they do that, then it'll be a successful season.
Julio's had a really slow start to the season, and slumps aren't uncharacteristic for any player, obviously, in baseball, but especially not for him. But, I mean, slugging like 3-something, his average is fine. Right now it's 267, but he's really not hitting for power, and it's been really uncharacteristic, 10 home runs so far this year. Are you at all worried by his start to the season? Has it changed your opinion of him, I guess is what I'm asking, or do you still have kind of all the faith in the world in his potential?
I think the latter. It's just that sometimes even stars just have these dips. I mean, Corbin Carroll. I mean, look at the numbers for Corbin Carroll. He's one of the worst hitters in the league all of a sudden. Cody Bellinger has 9 home runs. Guy won the MVP with 40 a few years ago. And then you see something like this. As I mentioned to you the last time I was on, I picked Rodriguez to win the MVP. Big mistake. I do think it's a dip, and he'll get back to it. But the thing is, I'm sure when you sign him up to all that money and his potential, you're thinking MVP caliber now that Shohei Ohtani's out of the American League, and he isn't showing it. But I do believe in his skill set. I do believe in his skill set. Maybe it shows up in the second half more. Maybe it's just a down year. But you have to understand that, or remember, it does happen to guys every so. Even Bryce Harper had a little dip in between his MVP years. But it's not like Rodriguez has won an MVP. Like, you got to reach the mountaintop, and then if you have a dip, people can understand it more. He was climbing, and now he's had a dip. So want to see him get back to who we think he can be, and I do think he can do that, but it might be 2025.
I'm not sure how closely you've been following the Astros. I mean, you're a busy man. There's a lot of teams to cover. But is there anything that you've seen during the stretch that got them back in the game? Obviously, they've had some help from the Mariners with their struggles, but what have they done differently? Is it as simple as, look, we're just going to get into shootouts and score more runs, or have their pitching come around? What are you seeing out of them?
Yeah, I think they've kind of found their level. You got to remember, when you go to that many ALCSs in a row, you're bound to have a few hangovers or dips, especially if you have injuries. And they had a ton of pitching injuries early on. So they're a benefit of the length of the season. That's how I view the Astros. It just, and also the fact that the Mariners let them hang around in a sense. Like Seattle could have extended their lead, that huge lead, and they didn't do that. So they're a benefit of this long season, their experience. I think it's as simple as all of that. Getting healthy, obviously. I think those are the answers. When you have that kind of experience, it's eventually going to show up if the league or the division allows you to do it. And I think that's what happened. I mean, Seattle had a great chance to put their foot down, and it just didn't happen. So here we are. It's going to be an interesting race down the stretch in the AL West.
We've been having conversations about how some of the offensive issues start with the players they add, with some of those additions just not working out. What's your view on Jerry Dipoto and the job he's done?
Well, from a distance, not good enough, but I understand there are probably payroll limitations, not probably, that there are. Still, you've got to work within the confines of your budget and your market and all that stuff. And all I know is Milwaukee and Cleveland are smaller markets. They keep winning. So it's almost like put up or shut up time. He's developed this great pitching infrastructure. Kudos to that. For some reason, Seattle's become a place where balls go to die, for hitters. It's become such a pitcher's park. But, you've got to fight through that. If you're the home team, you need to take advantage of whatever situation you're in. And they have on the mound, they just haven't at the plate. So I would say it's a B. Like he's built something good, but it's not great. It's not great yet. And coming off of, what they've achieved the last couple of years, you need to see another level. Now, I'm saying things like they're not in first place right now because it kind of feels like the inevitable is coming with them. And I hate to say it because I picked them. So I think that whether it be because he doesn't have the payroll or some of the decisions, think about the add-ons. I liked them, but I didn't love them in the offseason, the offensive add-ons,
Yeah.
I liked them, but I don't. Haniger, Garber, I liked them, but I didn't love them. I thought they should have made a bigger play for Cody Bellinger. So I'd say he's been okay, but not stellar.
Does where the Mariners are right now as we speak, does this surprise you? When you factor in everything, the moves that were and weren't made during the offseason, the start that they had, the run that they had when they were 10 over, and now one game lead in the West, does this surprise you at all, or do you kind of get the same feeling a lot of fans get when they're like, oh, typical Mariners, finding a way to kind of mess things up a little bit?
Yeah, I guess I feel like it's typical Mariners in some ways, and I say that as a guy that picked them again. Like, I'm disappointed that my pick is going south. I mean, they lead the world in strikeouts, last in batting average. You just can't win pennants like that. And it's great on the mound, great production, but you just can't win pennants that futile on offense. So just disappointed that those additions haven't come through, and obviously Julio Rodriguez having that down year. So in some ways, if you want to say the glass is half full, they're in first place despite that poor offense. But I almost look at it as a glass being half empty, the way Houston is coming, and may overtake them this weekend for all we know.
Well, Jesse, I certainly hope that your pick, and I do thank you for picking the Mariners to win the division. I know right now you're like, oh, I wish I could go back. But I hope that pick works out. You know a ton, and maybe you had a gut instinct at the time that just ends up being right. That's what I'm hoping. ESPN's Jesse Rogers, kind enough to join us, very gracious with your time. Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks, Jesse.
Anytime. I know the Mariners are coming to Chicago soon, so I'll be at those games. I'll give you a better scouting report on them soon.
Amazing. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
You got it. See ya.
All right, Seahawks training camp starts next week, and we want to send one of you and 3 of your friends to watch camp in person. All you need to do is open the Seattle Sports app, click the Win tab, and find out how. Now, if you don't have the app, that's fine. You can download it from the App Store, or even easier, you can just text the word app, APP, to 866-979-3776, and we will send you a link to download. Easy. This contest runs through Sunday, July 21st. That's this Sunday. Seattle Sports is your home for the Seahawks and for training camp coverage. Let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game. With former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Marinating is important.
It is.
I'm very recently getting into cooking, and I've learned how important that is.
You let it sit for 24 hours?
All the difference in the world. Let me tell you what. First down, what quarterback has been marinating and maybe primed for another opportunity in the NFL.
Man, we be talking about quarterbacks all the time, and we should.
Yeah.
They make the most money. They're the face of the team. And recently, we've been focusing a lot on Dak Prescott. What's going to happen over there in Dallas? Is Dallas going to commit to him? Are they going to pay him $60 million is what people are guessing his average is going to be. If Dak gets to the playoffs and takes these guys to a conference championship game, I think they pay him. But if not, I forgot about this young man.
I know where
2
you're
and 2
going.
as a starter, 102 attempts, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, complete 54% of his passes, 797 yards through the air, 235 on the ground, 1 touchdown. The Niners moved up to get him. Are they looking at Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Trey Lance, the Dallas Cowboys, and saying, all right, if it doesn't work out, we can take a chance on this young man, go look for a veteran or someone else, and he could be the bridge or the future. When the Niners moved up to get him, I thought they were crazy. I go, what are you doing? He's played 1 college season at North Dakota State. Physically, he seems on point, but then he gets caught up, he gets hurt, and then he's in strip clubs, and it was all bad for this dude. But he's been marinating for a couple years now. So I wonder if Trey Lance has anything to do with the decision-making when it comes to paying Dak Prescott. Who knows what he looks like? Last time we saw him, he didn't look great. I also think that Shanahan was using him as a running quarterback when he's not. He's just a quarterback who can run. So I'm interested. I forgot all about Trey Lance, and I'm doing research last night, trying to figure out what's going on, and I saw that name, and I said, you know what? He's been chilling for a little bit. Who knows? Probably not, but it's fun to think about the scenarios over there.
Yeah, I started smiling the second you kept talking, because once you said Dak, I was like, well, he's not marinating, and then I went, the same thing you did. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Second down. There's a position whose cap hit requires that they elevate this team and lead the charge as soon as the season starts. What position is that?
So I'm not talking about like the total value of a contract. I'm talking about cap hits. And I'm looking across the league. I'm comparing this position group to the one here in Seattle. Houston has a position group that's pretty good. $22 million cap hit this year. Miami has a position group damn good. $42 million. Chicago has that same group, $43 million. Collectively, I picked the top 3 at their position. Then you have Minnesota, just paid one of their guys, but the cap hit for this year is $13.1. San Francisco, $54 million. The Seahawks have a receiver room with the top three, $47.5 million cap hit this year. If they don't figure something out with Tyler Lockett next year, his salary jumps up to $30 million next year. I'm not telling you what to do with Tyler Lockett. We'll see how this season goes. But I'm looking at just a cap hit for this year. These guys got to come out and they got to ball. DK got to go for 1,200-1,300. JSN has to either go for over 1,000 or approach 1,000. And same thing with Lockett, vice versa. All right. This group needs to perform. Highly invested in it. I think they're like 3rd or 4th when it comes to cap hit when you isolate the first 3 guys on the roster. It's wild. And they need to perform right now, week 1, no waiting, hit the ground running.
Third down. What did you learn from the NFL.com's best 30 over 30 list?
Learned a lot. On this list, D linemen, they got 5. DBs 1, linebackers 4, tight ends 2, quarterbacks 4. O-line 6, wide receivers 7, running backs 1. 20 total guys on offense, 10 guys on defense. So what I've learned, you can play longer in this game if you're on the offensive side of the ball. Yes, you do take a beating, you get hit a lot, but on the offensive side, you will last longer. And also, I learned that us receivers, man, we got longevity. They talk about us being divas, but you talk about the top receivers in the league. Narrow down to like 10 guys, they will play well into their 30s now. I'd say about 34, maybe even 35. The life of the receiver is expanding. Also, what I learned, poor running backs, man. They just aren't going to last very long in this league. That's why I feel like you're going to go more of a 2-platoon type of thing. Get you 2 running backs who can get it done. So if you have a top-tier wide receiver on your team and you can afford to keep them, afford to pay them, I think it's a good investment. Now, there's only about 10 of those in the league, I feel like. But if you have one of those guys, you have to pay them. The 4 out of the 6 receivers on this list are going to be Hall of Famers, like Mike Evans, Devontae Adams. These guys are going to be Hall of Famers. So I learned a little bit. Offense, you will play longer. Receivers, if you have a top 10 guy and you can pay him, you do exactly that, and then you should be okay. But I also feel like the number, we got 4 quarterbacks. I feel like that number is going to get bigger as the years go along, too, because guys are taking care of their bodies and doing all the things that I didn't want to do when I was playing ball.
4th down. I'm someone who wants answers now, a solution now, like instant kind of satisfaction with, right away. However, there is one question about the Seahawks offense where none of us are getting that. There's a question about the Seahawks offense you feel will not be answered at any point in the preseason. What is it?
It won't be answered. And I'm talking about what does Geno Smith look like with his offense. Last year, he didn't play one snap in the preseason, not one. This year, we know they're having joint practices with the Titans. So I think they're going to use that to see what Geno looks like. But I don't think you're going to see Geno trot out that tunnel with his helmet on, strapped up, ready to go. He will be on the sideline. He might have the pads on, but I don't think Geno's going to play. So we're going to have to wait until week 1 to really see what Geno looks like in this offense. And there's a plus and a minus. The plus is you keep him healthy. The minus is you can try to simulate a game during practices, even if it is a joint practice with the Titans, but no one's going to hit the quarterback. No one's really going to get after you like that. So you don't really know. The coaches will get enough out of those practices to make them feel comfortable with Geno. It's going to be Geno regardless. Sam Howell is not coming in here and taking nobody's spot. I think it's going to take a year or two if that is the case. But you're not going to see Geno during the preseason games. And if you do, then I will be pleasantly surprised, and I'm all for it. But I also understand how important he is to this offense. You cannot risk it, because if Geno goes down and you have to depend on Sam Howell, it will be fun to watch. He's going to throw the football 600 times. He's going to take some chances, but he also threw 21 interceptions last year. He's still learning the game. So, don't expect Geno during these preseason games. He'll get his work during those joint practices.
Yeah, I am... Perhaps I shouldn't be, but I am surprised at how many people seem fully on board with, like, why not give the Sam Howell a chance? And it's like, y'all, we were at minicamp. He's not ready. I think he's really intriguing, and he has youth on his side, which works against Geno. Lots of potential, big arm. I get it. Like, I see the talent. I see the vision. But there's a big gap between where Geno is and where he is, whether you believe it or not. And this is not like Sam Howell, number 5 overall pick, what might happen. The way that we were talking about Dallas with Trey, wondering like, well, I don't know, like, might this be something? Sam Howell was, what, a second rounder? Geno's a second rounder. We're not talking about someone that has, like, you know, potential giant Capitol bold neon light all over him.
It's a process with Sam. Physically, he can do it. But we all know that it's more than physical at the quarterback spot. That's why guys like Brock Purdy and Tua are thriving, because physically they might not be as good as the top guys, but mentally there's something special about those dudes.
Cam Newton kept it brutally honest for a take on Skip Bayless. That's coming up next.
Seahawks training camp starts in 5 days, and we want to send one of you and 3 friends to watch in person. All you need to do is open the Seattle Sports app and click the Win tab to find out how. If you don't already have the app, simply text app to 866-979-3776, and we'll send you a link to download. This contest runs through Sunday, July 21st. Seattle Sports is the home of the Seahawks, and your home for training camp.
Motorcycle riders, Bob Stelton here. I love this time of year. The weather's nice. I'm out on the bike as often as possible. And knock on wood, I've never been in an accident. But maybe you have. And if you have, you need to call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. First of all, your case evaluation is completely free. They don't get paid until you get paid. And they should be the first call you make after a motorcycle accident. And I'll tell you why. Because they fight for you, the motorcycle rider, and your family to get you the compensation you deserve. With over 20 years of experience, they're going to handle your case with the respect and dignity you deserve. The insurance company wants to get away with paying out the lowest settlement they can as quickly as they can. With the Law Tigers, you don't have to handle your motorcycle case alone. So why should you hire Law Tigers after an accident? They can help you get your motorcycle and gear repaired or replaced. Law Tigers knows how important your motorcycle is to you, so after you've been in an accident, give them a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, that's 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know that nationwide, our clinics have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on Google. This tells you that our patients are really seeing results. Here's what some of them are saying. The results are close to phenomenal. On top of that, the staff and the scheduling are top-notch, and my technician is a consummate professional. Another patient said, I called numerous clinics, and West Coast was by far the best. The other places wouldn't give me any information over the phone, but West Coast answered all of my questions. My wife and I were skeptical, but we've already noticed the difference. This was a game changer for us. West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands of men reverse their ED using acoustic wave therapy. No pills or shots necessary. Give us a call today so we can help you too.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
It's time for Cookies Country Chicken gift card giveaway. Celebrate National Fried Chicken Day with cookies. That's real good chicken. 3 lucky winners, 3 $100 cookies gift cards. Enter today at seattlesports.com/win. Hurry. Contest ends July 21.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Pros, now's your chance to find the deals you need during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 20% off select Werner and Little Giant ladders. Plus, save $60 on a DeWalt 20-volt max 2-tool combo kit. Was $229, now $169. Shop the brands you trust in-store or online today. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 7/26. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions. You name it, these are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Wayscarford.com.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients. And you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It is The Timeline on Bump and Stacy. If you were up early enough, and certainly if you're on the East Coast, you got plenty of this. There was a huge Microsoft outage today that affected pretty much everything. I mean, like airplanes were grounded. Only, did you guys see that Southwest was like the only major airline that wasn't grounded because they're still operating on like early date windows?
Curtis pointed out a meme. Southwest is still operating because they're operating off like 2 sidekicks or something like that.
Seriously, they got like a BlackBerry that they're just texting
Using
each other.
somebody's Wi-Fi hotspot.
What's your password? Using someone else's Prime account. Like everything about it is just like, hey, can we borrow that password?
You mean to tell me Spirit was still flying and Southwest was
facts.
down?
That's facts.
That's all bad.
I'm just saying. Everything was impacted. I mean, every single company. If you weren't, congratulations. That includes the programs that we're watching online, on TV. Get Up was one of those. They couldn't show any graphics or videos due to the outage, so it sounded like this.
Good morning and welcome to Get Up on ESPN. And that picture tells maybe 1,000 words, if not more. If you are joining us this morning from anywhere on planet Earth, you are probably already aware that there are massive computer outages that are impacting almost every element of our lives. Don't ask me to explain them to you. I'm certainly not capable of doing so. I can tell you, however, that our program today is going to look a little bit different. We do not have video, we do not have sound bites, and we do not have graphics. But we have Dan Graziano, Ryan Clark, Mike Tannenbaum. We have everything we need to put together a sports talk show together today.
Dog.
And we've got he made it, Foxworth. You know what?
My computer works. My computer works. Why did everybody get theirs working?
That's a good point. Here's the bottom line. I have no earthly idea how it is possible that we cannot get graphics on the air, but somehow Dominique Foxworth from Washington is live and can hear us. Don't ask me to explain that.
What I loved most is that they used a whiteboard and just hand wrote the segment on it for the graphics. So the camera would focus on the whiteboard saying, like, you know, what college quarterback, just like some intern's handwriting, and then just zoom out and they'd be like, that's what we're talking about right now.
Hey, so you mean they were forced to do like a 4-hour radio show?
Exactly.
Where you don't have graphics.
1,000%.
And you just got to use your voice.
And your imagination.
That's funny, but it also, you know, we were talking to we heard a clip was a Tim that said the Mariners are the most vulnerable division leader. Humans are vulnerable as heck if those computers go down.
Mm-hmm. That's
Goodness
the thing,
gracious.
is that it was one like update at, what was it, like Broadwork or something, that set this in motion that shut all of Microsoft down around the world.
Yes.
One guy or one company did all this to shut down nearly every like office computer in the world. That's concerning.
What's the company called? I just had it. Oh, CrowdStrike.
CrowdStrike, that's right.
Is that like a parent company to Microsoft? I sound so stupid. Someone's going, oh my God, you idiot. No, it's this.
Yeah,
but like,
I mean, we
just
probably
learned.
got a lot of tech bros listening that are just like,
I'm
do
sure.
you guys not know what this is all about?
Well, then I could yell at them for not knowing certain things
how do you
too.
not know what
but...
Luis Roberts on base percentage
Yeah,
is?
exactly.
Okay?
Yeah. Well, my job's my job. My job isn't to know a lot about Microsoft.
My buddy works for Microsoft, so I'm going to blame Sadir. Sadir, is your fault.
I think that's fair.
I need answers.
I think that's fair to
Taking
blame
an early
him.
weekend, Sadir?
It was interesting, though, like looking around the world, like someone posted a picture of a handwritten boarding pass because from India, because obviously at airports around the world, things weren't working. So he's like, yeah, first time ever, handwritten boarding pass of someone just writing, like filling in the blanks of his name and his information.
Do you still carry, when you travel, do you use the paper boarding pass or do you use your phone?
Last time Derek and I went, it was on his phone. So we used his phone.
Uh-huh.
9 times out of 10, I use paper copies for everything. Like I have my insurance card, which I guess is a millennial thing, printed out in my wallet. Like I like hard copies of things.
Dave Wyman doesn't use paper boarding passes.
I've never felt older in my life.
He doesn't?
No.
I remember NASA Chobe, executive producer of the Seahawks, used to have to print out Dave's parking passes.
There's no way.
He's graduated.
There's no way, but he graduated but skipped 7 grades. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean he's using boarding pass like QR codes?
When we went to Germany, man, he was on point.
What?
Yeah.
What? I need to know what model iPhone he has. I don't know if I fully believe this. I'm going to have to see it in front of my face to believe it. But you guys ever, it's when you realize you're so addicted to technology on a much, 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 much smaller scale. It's like when the power goes out in the neighborhood and you're like, I guess I'll just look at my phone. Oh, wait, Wi-Fi. I guess I'll just watch, oh, wait, the TV.
You know,
what do I do?
What do I do? Nothing. Read a book?
I'm so blessed when it comes to that situation because in Monroe, if you didn't know, there's a penitentiary out there, and I live on the grid. So as soon as the power goes off, 10 seconds later, we're back up. Can't let inmates running around.
Lucky you guys living next to the prison. Nice. Next up, Cam Newton offered some harsh truths about Skip Bayless's run at Fox Sports.
You had Kobe Bryant and you had LeBron James, and none of them want to with you right now. Kobe Bryant, I'm referring to Stephen A. Smith. LeBron James, I'm referring to Shannon Sharp. And you work with both of them. And we're seeing now that they carried you instead of how you would make it seem you carried them. You're not the main attraction, Skip. You were the co-host, being portrayed as if you were bigger, or the real reality was you were the co-host.
Yeah, this is harsh, but if there was a world where Skip Bayless truly thought he was carrying Stephen A. Smith, I want to know what else happens in that world. Like, do things fall from the sky? Like, what do you mean you thought you carried him?
I think Skip Bayless felt he played a big role in Stephen A. Smith's career. And to be honest, he did, because those two will go at it, and it got me up in the morning. I'm sitting there watching it. And he felt like he wanted to spread his wings and go elsewhere. And then he gets on Undisputed with Shannon Sharp, and he feels like he's doing the same thing, when really those were the two really spitting out facts and analysis and information, to whereas Skip was just hollering and screaming and trying to insult people. Now, it might not have worked out for Skip in the end. He's worth $17 million. But Stephen A. Smith is working on a mega deal right now. Shannon Sharp is signed on with ESPN. This has to humble him so much. He's going to be fine in the long run, but I think Cam is right. And Cam also mentioned, he goes, look, you tried to bring Sherman on, you tried to bring Keyshawn on. He goes, no disrespect to them, but just the combinations weren't right. Skip, sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone, and it is gone. But something tells me he'll land on his feet. He'll be fine.
I'm sure he'll be fine. And overall, he is very good at what he does. Like, he's gotten so much further than 99.9% of people in media. He stands behind his opinions. He attaches, obviously, his name and face, but his whole chest to every opinion he has. Like, I respect that at the end of the day. So plenty of respect for what he's done and accomplished. That said, with any personality on air that is abrasive, you need to know when to turn it on and off. I've always heard good things about Stephen A. Smith. I have not. Maybe bad rumors exist, but from people that have worked with him or around him, the Stephen A. Smith, the very eccentric, in your face, got a hot take, not afraid to share it person, is not who he is all the time. That's a personality that he knows when to turn on, and he's gifted at doing it and gets people talking. You need to be able to manage and be attentive to those professional relationships off air too. And I wonder if what Cam's hinting at is that maybe that wasn't done. That maybe you burnt a bridge with Steven.
Yeah,
you burnt a bridge
did.
with Shannon.
Clearly.
You know what I mean?
And you see how quick ESPN said, nah, he ain't coming back.
Exactly. You can't burn those bridges. Like, you need to know when the on-air personality needs to turn off, and you just need to be a normal coworker who is professional and thoughtful and, whatever. It sounds like maybe a little bit of that was going on there. All right, let's get to the IRG injury report. That is, Curtis, like 5 Fridays in a row that I haven't forgotten to do my job.
Man, what a run we're on.
Imagine if she wore Till on Tuesdays. Then she'd really be
But today's
doing her
not
thing.
Tuesday,
It's
so I don't
not,
have to
but,
worry about it.
Just throwing it out there.
IRG injury report brought to you by the IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. The Seahawks placed 7 players on the PUP list, including Abe Lucas, Tyrell Dodson, Jerome Baker, Jarek Reed, and Cam Young. Again, they can be taken off of the preseason PUP list at any point during training camp. You just don't want to be placed on that once final roster cut down happens, because then you got to miss those 4 weeks. They also placed 5 players on the non-football injury list, including both drafted corners, DJ James and Nehemiah Pritchett, as well as guard Anthony Bradford. So keep an eye out for all these guys in the hopes that they return to training camp quickly. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Jesse Rogers joined us at 11, and he had said something that not only made us pause, but Bump literally wrote it down because it stood out to him. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Marcellus Wiley is with us.
What have you kind of taken away from this changing training camp situation?
And if there's one word that can really underline what everyone is saying, it's easier. No one is dying on the football field anymore in practice. They have come to the understanding that it's all about a Sunday product. No more Oklahoma drills, no more full contact back-to-back practices. Guys are telling me they will play at least 5 years longer just because of the practice schedule. And frankly, I believe them.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Welcome to IRG Sports Injury Update. We're with Shannon O'Kelly, physical therapist and president of IRG Physical and Hand Therapy. And our guest, Dr. Jonathan Hall, MD, foot and ankle fellowship trained orthopedic surgeon with Pro Ortho in Kirkland.
Dr. Hall, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Shannon?
Wonderful. Hey, listen, I've seen a ton of Liz Frank injuries recently, the NBA, NFL. Liz Frank, what is it?
Liz Frank is an injury that happens when a foot is planted on the ground and another player comes in contact with their heel. It breaks their arch.
The arch is these bones of the midfoot. That's what we call the arch. Tell us about that fracture or breaking that arch and how problematic that is.
Well, the Liz Frank ligament is the ligament that holds the arch together at the middle of the foot. And when that ruptures, the whole foot collapses. So you can't put any weight across your forefoot. You walk through your heel, and whenever you try to get up on your toes, your arch collapses.
How do you diagnose it?
By physical exam and x-rays. So when a patient stands up, we can see that the midfoot starts to collapse.
Treatment?
So if we see any sort of collapse going on, it has to be fixed with surgery because so much pressure goes across that midfoot. Imagine these powerful athletes trying to get up on their toes and they can't put any pressure across their forefoot because their midfoot, their arch, is entirely collapsed.
Season ending, return to play?
If you have to operate on these, you're out for the whole season. But the good news is 95% of these high-level athletes are coming back to sport.
Dr. Hall, thank you for your time. If you want more information regarding foot or ankle injuries, contact Dr. Hall at proortho.com.
With over 40 neighborhood clinics around Washington, IRG has you covered. Let IRG be your family's physical therapist. Find the location nearest you at irgpt.com. That's irgpt.com.
Summertime is Pacific Power Batteries time. Okay, maybe that's a stretch. But we do sell more batteries in the spring and summer because you folks are all out there doing stuff. Golf carting and boating and buzzing around on stuff that needs batteries. When's a good time? How about tomorrow? We're open 7 days a week to test any battery and let you know the honest answer. Summertime and the cranking is easy. Happy trails from Pacific Power Batteries.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
12's Seahawks training camp powered by Boeing is on the horizon. Starting July 24th, join us lakeside at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center for the first of 9 practices. Get an up-close look at the new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald, and the next gen of Seahawks players as they take the field to prepare for the upcoming season. Summer in Seattle and Seahawks football, what's better than that? Register now at Seahawks.com/training camp. That's Seahawks.com/training camp.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on SeattleSports.com.
Shane Company loves Seattle so much, we decided to open another jewelry store in the area. Come say hi at our new South Center Square location in Tukwila. Shop our beautiful selection of fine jewelry or stop by our new Create Your Own station and make something one of a kind. You can also step into our pop-up radio booth to share a story about your jewelry for a chance to be featured on the radio. And of course, you can still visit us in Linwood too. We can't wait to see you.
Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
July is Vehicle Theft Prevention Month. The Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, in cooperation with the International Auto Theft Investigators Association, asks you to help prevent vehicle theft and stop auto fraud. Lock your doors, use anti-theft devices, and don't leave titles or important documents in your vehicle. Install immobilization devices such as ignition or fuel disablers. Never leave keys or fobs in your vehicle, and never leave your vehicle running unattended. Paid for by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Everyone always asks me, what were your top reasons for choosing Advanced Hair? Well, allow me to share, along with some details on, get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. Okay, first off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and I'm living proof those results are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that blew away my expectations. And lastly, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. It is quick, simple, and easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, well, it's here. Advanced Hair's Summer Savings Event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details to schedule your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
from the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
ESPN MLB insider Jesse Rogers joined Bump and I at the top of the hour about 45 minutes ago. And we talked about a ton of stuff. The trade deadline, who they could acquire, his look on the Mariners overall. We're having a conversation about making moves, making trades. And he said something that gave us pause.
There's a phrase I used to hear a lot from a former player: don't confuse activity with accomplishment. And I bet that phrase applies to the Mariners because they'll make a lot of moves, but are they accomplishing something? Now, let's not forget, they're at the top of the division, so it's like, let's not give them too much crap, but it's all because of their pitching staff. I don't know if you can finish last in batting average, as antiquated as that stat is, and still win the division or go very far in the postseason.
You, when he said this, wrote it down. Why did it stand out to you?
Because I think we can easily do that. We can confuse. We can say, well, a lot of people can. I think you and I, it's our responsibility to look at the moves deeply and say, okay, what does this really mean? But it felt like that during the past 2 off seasons that there was some activity, and you kind of convince yourself like, okay, this could work out because you want it to work out for your team and you understand their vision. So you see the activity, and you're saying, okay, they did something. And you can pacify a lot of your fans and critics just by making moves. They're at the point now, because of the rotation that they have, the 1-game lead they have. Even if they lose this lead, they're not going to be, I hope, they're not going to be like 8 to 9 games down when it comes to the trade deadline. So you want to see activity, but you want that activity to impact your team in a positive way. Curtis pointed this out. You and Curtis were talking about it. The last time they went all in at the trade deadline, it's worked out for them. Castillo's not having the year that he's had in the past, but he's no chump, and he's been your ace for the last few seasons. So if having a bigger impact means less activity, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I think that is what I feel the organization isn't going to do, because I think they're in the mindset of let's acquire as many pieces as we can for the cheap, for the bargain. You know, we'll get 3 for 1 or something like that. And activity means that we've made our team better. But how much better does that activity make your team?
We can respect, appreciate, tip of the cap that Jerry makes moves and is not afraid to move, so much so that people call him Trader Jerry, commonly understood nickname around the league. You can also, fans can also be frustrated that those moves aren't significant and haven't led to a playoff team. They have been to the playoffs once under Jerry and Scott, once in the last 20 years. They have made myriad trades. There have been a ton of trades, so many moves, but rarely are those moves hugely impactful. And you pointed to the Castillo one, and I want to circle back to it. The last time it worked wonders. You got an ace. So I think when I heard, activity doesn't always mean accomplishment, I did immediately think of Jerry Dipoto, and I did immediately think of the moves that he makes. There are many moves a GM, in this case, a president of baseball ops, will make that don't pay out. John Schneider traded 2 first-rounders for Jamal Adams, then paid him. That didn't work out. Seahawks, moved on eventually. I can't really be too hard in my criticism because they tried, and I can respect it. If Luis Castillo wouldn't have worked out, yeah, we'd be levying criticism. Let's not pretend we wouldn't. But I can respect the real, genuine effort to improve your club and to become a contender. And I hope that I see that kind of move and not tiny, tiny minor ones at the deadline. The problem is, Bump, I don't know what kind of move would make me feel like that, because the bats available are there are question marks around everyone.
Yeah, there are. And then he throws out there, he goes, well, I asked him, look, we're used to the underwhelming type of moves.
That was such a good question.
And then he goes, that's a good way or a funny way to put it. All right, give me some names that are underwhelming that you feel like could happen. He goes, let's start with Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas, who's with the Nationals. I'm looking at his line, 252, 318, 404, 722. Underwhelming for sure. He goes, Jock Peterson. I used to love Jock when he was with the Dodgers, man. He had some good years. Right now, 273, 374, 498, 871, 13 bombs. Last one, Jorge Soler. I'm looking at Jorge, 225, 305, 397, 702. Those are underwhelming moves. That's activity right there. And I try to put myself in the mind of this organization, and I ask myself, what will allow them to step out of that box that they're in and say, well, let's try this again, the same thing we did with Castillo. Let's roll the dice. And I'm hoping that they're just looking at this team and the arms. And because really you have to be able to support those arms. Yes, you want to support the lineup. Julio needs some help in this lineup. France needs a little turbo boost. Luke can use some help as well. But the strongest part of your team are the arms, and you want them to feel supported. And I think if you make a move like Lane Thomas, Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, we'll support them. You're on the team. But those aren't moves that make the arms feel like I'm going to get the run support that I need. So, yeah, I know there's going to be activity. I know there's probably going to be a couple moves made. But, man, I would take certainty over activity all day.
What's a name, since we won't know for sure whether any name will end up being definitively impactful. All of it will be a gamble. What's a name where you go, this feels like striving towards accomplishment. This doesn't feel like activity for the sake of activity. This feels like potential impact.
Obviously, Vladdy Dottie, we like Sapati. We got Paredes, who we just talked about from the Rays. Luis Roberts, who we've been talking about. Chisholm, I'm kind of off of right now just because of the attitudes that I'm hearing about him. Arozarena is a name that has been thrown out there as well. Then we start to get lower down there. Danny Jensen with the Blue Jays. Tommy Pham with the White Sox. Tanner Scott is a name that's been connected to it. Peter Fairbanks. There's a bunch of names out there that I feel like would be intriguing. But the main ones is Vladdy Dottie, ain't going to happen. Luis Roberts. And now I'm on the Isaac Paredes train, too.
Yeah. I'm with you, though, in terms of, like, that there are just certain names that are so much more intriguing that I assume with acquiring those names comes intent. Like, to acquire this name means doing something un-Mariners-y.
Right.
Like, acquiring a guy that used to be solid or was a one-time All-Star 3 years ago feels like a very Mariners move. And you're within the limitations as a front office of the budget that you're given, right? So I do want to add that context. But your job ultimately is to get this club to a World Series. It should be, at least. What you owe fans, what you owe players, what you owe yourself is to get this club to a World Series. So what move gets you closer?
I like you say, what you owe yourself. I think if they looked at it that way and made moves and were allowed to make moves based off of their own interests, their own reputation, their own legacy, then maybe that will entice them to do some things that they normally don't do. Because there's nothing like the pressure of self, man. It will make you do some amazing things if you apply that pressure to yourself and you want to be great. Some of the moves they've made doesn't look like they want to be great. It looks like they just want to be profitable and just hover around second or third place in the division.
All right, I mentioned earlier in the show to start things off that we'd be pretty Mariners heavy for the first hour and a half, 2 hours. Well, we're switching gears. We are less than a week away from Seahawks training camp, so let's talk football with the Athletics' Robert Mays next.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners with Jeff Passett, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners are in the middle of a window where they need to take action because you cannot let this pitching go to waste.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
At the trade deadline, for this team, with all the strong pitching they've got, they simply need to acquire some bats who don't strike out as often. That's it.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
How do you deal with the negative reviews? Sometimes they just eat me up.
We love our marketing director, and she excels as a leader and loves being part of our Lee Johnson team, except when she's reading a negative review.
I don't get a lot of time with Justin. Last year, I rode with him just a half an hour. I never get that time with him. And I said, how do you not let it eat you up? I said, sometimes I feel so responsible. I have nothing to do with it. I wasn't there, but I feel so responsible. And his answer was, I just look at it as an opportunity. We need that feedback to learn and to do better. I'm grateful for the feedback. I won't ever forget that conversation, and I have to remind myself of it.
The LJ way is The Lee Johnson Auto family.
Do you have a musty, damp, or wet basement? As the soil around your home becomes saturated, pressure pushes water through the tiniest of cracks and joints in your walls and floor. Moisture and water can not only damage your basement with mold and musty odors, it can also impact the health of your family. Matt Vey can install a custom-designed waterproofing system, transforming your basement into dry, healthy, usable space.
Do it the right way, the Matt Vey way. Rock built, rock solid.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Texting enrolls you in a reoccurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
10. Nice work. Thanks. Taking Nugenix Total T makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas, right?
Yes.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yes. Nugenix is a great way to feel stronger with more energy and endurance. And as Frank says, you'll like it too.
Text radio to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix. Text RADIO to 321-321. That's radio to 321-321.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Transform your outdoor space with Synthetic Turf Northwest, the Northwest's leader in synthetic turf solutions for 28 years, serving Seattle, Tacoma, and Bellevue. Specializing in residential backyard golf greens, custom play areas, and pet-friendly systems, we create stunning, low-maintenance landscapes for every need. Our artificial grass systems offer unmatched durability and beauty, tailored to your lifestyle. Now through July 31st, beat the heat and save up to $1,000 off your project. SyntheticTurfNorthwest.com, 425-788-0718. Enhance your backyard with Synthetic Turf Northwest, where expertise meets excellence.
From whiplash to herniated discs, there are a few car accident injuries we've all heard of. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains that even the most common injuries differ from one another.
Pre-existing conditions, health history, beginning of treatment. There are hundreds of factors that make every person and every injury unique. While these variables aid medical treatment, the strongest case recoveries must also take them into account.
Could you explain a little bit more?
Our team at Pendergast Law is obsessed with turning over every stone to differentiate each case. This requires thorough investigation, diligent listening, and relentless research. We never pursue cases with a one-size-fits-all approach. We built our success by treating every injury and every case with the individualized attention our clients need and deserve.
Pendergast Law's individualized approach to even the most common injuries makes the difference in case outcomes. It's another reason why I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back at it finally, this time with a series against the Astros. Luis Castillo on the mound. Houston's coming to town hoping to leapfrog Seattle in the standings. When you think about it from the Mariners' point of view, though, it is a perfect opportunity to create more distance between you and the Astros if only your offense can show up. The Seahawks placed 7 players on the PUP list yesterday, including Abe Lucas, Tyrell Dodson, and Jerome Baker. No shocking names here, although it is worth noting that both drafted corners were placed on the non-football injury list. Here's the thing. None of this precludes any of these players from being ready for the start of the season or even from joining training camp. You can be lifted off the preseason PUP and NFI list at any time.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, it's Robert Mays, host of the Athletics Football Show. Robert, I'm actually going to start with a recent conversation you guys had, and that is some of your biggest questions heading into training camp. You had Mike Golick Jr. on, also one of our favorites. I know that we're asking you to just focus on Seattle, and there are probably far more fascinating conversations around the league. But when you look at Seattle as a team, what's piquing your interest most in just kind of this phase of summer?
I don't know. It's easy to focus on Seattle when I'm thinking about things that interest me. So that's not hard at all. I mean, I think that you can do something on both sides of the ball. You know, I'm really excited to see what this group of personnel looks like in the Ryan Grubb offense, because I just think that the way that Washington played and just the style they asked the quarterback to play with, I really do think it actually aligns pretty well with who Geno Smith is and honestly with what the skill position talent looks like. So I'm just really curious what this group looks like filtered through that system. And then on the other side of the ball, you know, what do those Ravens ideals and principles look like when you graft them onto this personnel with Seattle's defense? You know, who do they have that are kind of those movable chess pieces in the way that Kyle Hamilton was? Are we going to get the most out of the players on that side of the ball? So I'm starting my training camp travels next week. I'm going to LA first, but I'm going to Seattle next weekend. And it's honestly one of the stops I'm most looking forward to, just because they're a team on multiple different levels that really is intriguing me right now.
I think we're all excited about the change here in Seattle. Obviously, it was a shock at first, but then you kind of settle into it. But with the excitement comes some questions. You know, what is Grubb's offense going to look like? Can McDonald get this defense to execute at a high level? But if there's a player that you're most interested to see kind of make that transition, whether it be on offense or defense, to a new coordinator, what player are you looking at? Minus Geno Smith. I feel like we can point at Geno, but anybody else?
Geno's an easy one, but I already love Geno. So I'm already all in on Geno, so I don't need to worry about what he's going to look like in the new offense. I think there are two guys I'd point to, one on offense, one on defense. I'm excited to see what JSN looks like in this system, just because I really enjoyed what Grubb was able to do with Jalen McMillan last year, and I think that you can probably project forward a lot of those things onto JSN. I think it does fit his skill set really well. And then on defense, it's Devin Witherspoon. I mean, obviously we got some flashes last year, but we know a scheme and a system and a defensive coordinator or a defensive play caller that really could potentially unlock him. I would be very excited to see what that ultimately could look like.
When you look at Geno, what's kind of your ceiling? Because I don't know, Robert, how many people would be like, oh, top 5 passer, but I kind of feel like he gets maybe some undue hate because he's not definitively like face of the franchise kind of guy. What do you see from him?
I think you've seen a lot of moments from him that are like right on the borderline of like top 8 to 10 quarterback play over the last couple of years. And last year especially, I thought he did such a great job mitigating some of the issues that they had up front. You know, taking sacks and holding onto the ball a little bit too long was a consistent issue for him when we got that flash of him as a starter a couple of years ago, and then really throughout most of his career. And I think that he's done such a great job of mitigating that over the last couple of years. And in terms of like down the field ball placement, I think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, he's making high-level throws that very, very few guys can make. And, you know, there were elements of the offense last year that were frustrating, but I don't know if that was necessarily on Geno. I think that the way that they played and how they tried to attack people outside the numbers and down the field, it's a high degree of difficulty. And when it looks great, it looks great. And when when you're not really humming, it can be frustrating. And I wonder if this new offense can mitigate some of those shortcomings while also being able to really let him show off some of the highlight plays that we've seen from him over the last couple of years.
Hey, Rick Woolen had himself a heck of a rookie season and then kind of fell off a little bit in his second year. You can point at injuries. Some people point towards the fame and how he handled it. Who really knows what it was? But I saw the way the Seahawks responded, and they drafted 2 corners over there from Auburn. When you look at the corners and in the Rick Woolen situation, do you anticipate Rick Woolen being able to hold it down and bounce back, or do you think you're going to see one of these young DBs here pretty soon?
I hope he does. And, corner is one of those positions where it's pretty volatile from season to season. We see guys that have great years one year and kind of take a downturn the next year. It's just the nature of the position. And, you'd hope that there's a little bit of a bounce back. And, I think that if you look at the way that defensive back rooms around the NFL are being constructed, you need so many bodies back there. It's like offensive line. You just need depth and you need answers if you are going to sustain a couple injuries. So even if we, don't think that, if we think that Rick Woolen is the guy who's going to hold down one of those outside spots, I still think that adding depth and adding options, into that defensive backfield is a good thing either way. So I hope that the best case scenario is he kind of reclaims the guy he was as a rookie, but then you also have some answers if you have to sustain some injuries or you have to dig into your depth a little bit.
When you're looking at kind of all the expectations that we have of the Seahawks defense, I think so much of the conversation has surrounded not necessarily, they have top personnel, but what if Mike Macdonald is so brilliant that he can just get the most out of average guys or solid guys? Are there examples that you can think of, or a lot of defenses, offenses around the league where you go, you know what, I really do think just coaching and scheme got the most out of a group that I might have had doubts about?
I definitely think there are. I mean, I would point to a couple examples last year in the NFC and one in the NFC West. The Rams, obviously, if they have Aaron Donald, which is a huge help. But if you look at the rest of the personnel on that Rams team last year, that was not a good group of defensive players. It was very young, very unproven. And for most of the season, they played at a perfectly acceptable level. I mean, hovering right around average. And I think an average defense for the Seahawks this year, if they were 15th, 16th, and whatever advanced metric you want to use, I think that would be pretty good. And the other example that I would use from last year is the Vikings. If you looked at the Vikings personnel heading into last season, you could make an argument that they had the least defensive talent of any team in the NFL. And they were a borderline top 10 defense at times last year because of some of the things that Brian Flores was able to do. So if you have the right people pulling the levers on either side of the ball, I think it can significantly lift the talent that you have. And I don't think the Seattle defense is void of talent. I think that they have enough pieces on that side where a guy like Mike Macdonald could have them be a competitive unit from the jump.
I'm going to step outside of the Seahawks for a bit. You tweeted something that got me thinking. I'm just going to say what you tweeted, and you let the people know what you meant. It was response to Dan Soren. It says, the irony is that my shifting view of Purdy is exactly this. Explain to me what you're talking about here, Robert.
He was saying that I think some too often, this group of football hipsters on the internet are a little bit too rigid in the way that they defined elite quarterback play. And, we're too quick to look at aesthetics and arm strength and physical talent. And I think that there are times where I've been guilty of that. You look at a guy like Justin Herbert or some of these other people who are extremely talented, and I think that we're biased towards those sorts of players a little bit too often. But with Purdy, I think that I've kind of come around on some of the quieter ways that he actually affects the game like some of the best quarterbacks in the league do. And that can be with not taking that many sacks, with what he can do as a scrambler, things like that. And, I still think that there's a lot of lifting being done by Kyle Shanahan and the supporting cast in San Francisco. But if you had asked me a year ago whether or not Brock Purdy is a significant needle mover for them compared to a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm not sure I would have said yes. And I think that now I've kind of come around on the fact that he's adding to that offense in ways that other quarterbacks haven't, and that's part of the reason that offense has been so dangerous and really been so good over the last couple seasons. Would it be fair to say that people can look at Geno kind of the same way because the physical isn't great, right? He's good enough. Obviously, he's a starter in the NFL, but he doesn't really move the needle for a lot of people either. Yeah, it's surprising to me. I've been Geno-pilled way too strongly over the last couple of years, but I said this a couple of weeks ago. My buddy Derek Klassen, who does a very good job charting quarterbacks and analyzing quarterbacks, he was tweeting out something about Geno. It was a throw that he made from the Pittsburgh game, which I thought he was phenomenal in that game last year. And I quote tweeted it, and I essentially said, it's been a slow realization over the last couple of years, but I've kind of come to this place where I think Geno's my favorite quarterback in the league to watch. Stylistically, I just love the way he plays the position. I think the pocket movement has gotten so much better late in his career. And again, that down the field ball placement and the aggressiveness. I mean, this is a guy, this is true, I think, for him and Stafford, and I really appreciate it about both of them. they play like guys with nothing left to lose. Like Matthew Stafford is somebody that got out of Detroit, won a Super Bowl, and I think it really has influenced his play style. And Geno is somebody that, was making $2 million a year and, then got $40 million guaranteed. And it's kind of like, you know what? I'm in my 30s. Like, I did what I had to do. Like, there's nothing left to lose. Like, I'm just going to play this way and be aggressive and let it fly. And I absolutely love that. And I think that's part of the reason why I really have loved watching him play over the last couple of years.
Robert, I'm so glad you mentioned Matthew Stafford, too. Bump, what was the stat that you had about quarterbacks under 30?
There's one quarterback in the NFL right now with a Super Bowl who is under the age of 35, and we can guess who that is.
Right, exactly. And so, Robert, as you guys are talking about kind of quarterback, preconceptions, misconceptions, it's like you fundamentally, as a football mind, know, well, what I would want as a GM is Justin Herbert, or what I would want as a GM is a young, really, really talented quarterback. On the flip side, I think, so that you have some insight as to what's happening here in Seattle, we as a city went from having Russell Wilson, where you get that guy for 10 years, to having a guy as your starter who's in his 30s, and you just naturally think, oh, surely he's a bridge. Like, surely he's, not going to be the guy, because you got to find that young guy. But it's the entire experience has made me question, like, well, what makes a Super Bowl team? Like, does it have to be this young rookie quarterback or young talented quarterback? Does it have to be this? And so when you mentioned Matthew Stafford, I immediately thought of the way that the Rams built, and it was just an interesting concept. Did you find kind of your own reflection about Brock Purdy changing what you think makes a Super Bowl team?
Yeah, and I think that's true of a lot of different types of quarterbacks over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, I think we have plenty of examples of guys getting better in their 30s. Kirk Cousins is one of those guys. I think Kirk Cousins is playing some of the best football of his career before he got hurt last season, and he's doing that at age 34. Matthew Stafford's a perfect example where he's a decade into his football life, and when you change the circumstances around him, he looks like a different sort of player. I think that we learned that lesson with Matt Ryan. In 2016, when Matt Ryan got Kyle Shanahan, he was an MVP. We all thought Matt Ryan was a pretty good quarterback, but I think it's important. And the last name I would say is Jared Goff. Jared Goff was cast off. He was ejected from Los Angeles, and now the Lions gave him $50 million a year, and you can argue with that, and you can hem and haw about it, but I understand why they did. They're a top 5 offense with him at quarterback. I think it's important to be open-minded and receptive to the idea that quarterbacks can get better, and the circumstances around those quarterbacks, whether it's their supporting cast, the play caller, all of that, have way more to do with success at that position than we like to think or say. So if you take all of that and you're open-minded about how guys can change and what it looks like to have a guy that can take you to that place, I think that group is going to look a lot bigger than it might be at first glance.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that for Geno, because I feel like Grubb might be able to do something with Geno that maybe a Shane Waldron wasn't able to do. I'm anxious to see what Shane Waldron does with the Chicago Bears with all that going on there. I don't know how much you've looked at a Ryan Grubb offense, but if you have looked at it a bit, how do you think it's going to be different than what we saw last year with Shane?
I watched it really when I was just studying Michael Penix and studying the Washington receivers before the draft, and I'll admit that I loved it. I loved everything that they were trying to do. And I think the differences are, I like a lot of the things that they were trying to do on third down. Some of the bunches and the stacks and some of the condensed formations, just creating separation against man coverage and also giving yourself some easy completions in the middle of the field. We didn't get enough of that with the Waldron offense. If you look at the numbers from last year, I believe that Seattle had the widest average formations of any team in the NFL. And that runs counter to a lot of the really good offenses that you're seeing in the NFL these days. The Rams, the Dolphins, the Niners, these teams are more condensed, and I think that it allows them to attack the field differently. And I think that Washington, even though they did play pretty spread out, they had elements to their offense that really tapped into what you're seeing from some of the best NFL offenses in the league. And that's, again, those condensed formations, the stacks and bunches, and then the amount of motion that they were using. So I really do think that there are elements of what he was doing in Washington last year that align with what elite NFL offense looks like, and that's why I'm excited to see what it is.
He is Robert Mays, host of the Athletic Football Show podcast. Make sure you are subscribed to this podcast. If you are, leave some reviews as well. Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Robert.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
Let's get to Headline Rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, the Seahawks placed 7 players on the PUP list yesterday, including Abe Lucas, Tyrell Dodson, and Jerome Baker. What's the real headline?
No reason to be shocked, but we're not feeling great.
Nah, I mean, there's still time for these guys to get healthy and get it right. And I'm sure you'll explain the rules after I give my 2 cents. But my only concern is that you have 3 available linebackers: John Radigan, Tyrese Knight, Patrick O'Neal. Dotson, Baker, Gibbs, and Drake Johnson are all out right now. There's still time, but for a position that we haven't seen much from this year, I'm a bit concerned. If the coaches feel like Baker and Dotson are going to be okay and they're going to show up with X amount of time remaining to try to get right and get this defense going, then okay. But for me to sit here and act like I'm not a little bit concerned would be a lie. I just want to see them in pads. I want to see them do their thing.
Training camp starts on July 24th. That is next Wednesday. I'm sure we'll hear from Mike McDonald on the first day, and then usually it's like every 3 days or 4 days or something you'll hear from the head coach. He will be asked about these players. Next Wednesday, we will, I am sure of it, have some kind of update or at least a quote, at least a response about these names. What we do know is there were rumors that maybe the team feels a little more comfortable with Abe Lucas's situation than might the outside public, so that's at least encouraging. I'm kind of hanging on to that. The rule is Bump kind of hinted at is this is the preseason PUP list. It is not the regular season PUP list. Those are 2 different things. So right now, being placed on this doesn't mean anything for these players other than they're not out there practicing. You can be lifted off of it at any point. You can be on it for 1 day. You can be on it for 4 weeks, whatever it is. But if you are on this list by the time the season starts, meaning you're placed on it again during roster cutdowns, so that they try to avoid roster maneuvering, that's when you have to miss the 4 games. So for right now, this means nothing for whether or not these guys are starting the season. We'll see what Coach Mike McDonald says Wednesday.
I need reps. I want to see them. Football's a physical sport. There's a reason why over the past few years, I feel like we've seen the poorest tackling we've seen in NFL history. It's because of the way these practices are structured. You're not tackling, you're not banging the way you used to, but obviously these guys are getting paid more money, so you have to protect them. But you need to practice physicality in this game. So, I mean, I'm sure they'll be fine, but I just want to see it.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, Tiger Woods missed the cut in the Open Championship, his 6th missed cut in his last 7 majors. What's the real headline?
And for the 6th time in the last 7 majors, I won't be watching the final rounds.
Yep, I'm watching, though. I'll be watching the British. I mean, it's over now, right? I think the 3rd round or 2nd round is concluded. Here's the thing with Tiger. Don't expect anything from him until he starts competing in other tournaments. You can't show up for the 4 toughest tournaments in the world, Craig, in the world, and expect to compete, especially at his age with his physical condition. But Tiger's more of just, he's like on for the rest of his life, victory lap. He's just waving, saying hello to people, and showing up, collecting his appearance check, and getting up out of there. But I want him to play good golf at least once or twice before it's all said and done. He cannot do that just showing up for major championships. I cannot go to Chambers without playing a few times and filling the greens. I can't go to Inglewood and play there, and I'm nowhere near the golfer he is. If you play golf, you understand. If you ain't practiced, you ain't played in a while, show up with low expectations, drink some beer, smoke some cigars, and enjoy nature.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, the Mariners are going with Brian Wu in Sunday's series finale rather than All-Star Logan Gilbert. What's the real headline?
Logan is scheduled to start the season finale, but can you afford to think about September when you're only a 1 game up in July?
I guess they can because they're doing it at this point. And if there's anything I trust about the Mariners, it's the way they handle their arms. I think they did a good job with Wu and limiting his innings and trying to take care of him. Obviously, he's still been banged up. I would love to see Walter on the mound during this series. But if you take care of the first 2, then we're not worried about it. You win the series, you have a 3-game lead minimum, and you go from there. Man, I'm just not comfy. I don't feel the same way I did about 2.5 weeks ago, Stacey. So that's what makes me nervous about this whole thing. But everything they do is calculated. If they like it, I love it.
Salk was explaining it during his morning show in a way that did make sense to me, which was Logan is able to go far deeper into games than is Brian Wu right now. So if Logan is behind Wu, maybe you save your bullpen a little bit of time. And I appreciate the logic. I like the logic. I can get behind the decision. Simultaneously, I wish that you had your very best starters in what feels like a must-win series against Houston. And to me, Logan is one of your 3 best. So nothing is more important to me right now than this upcoming series. All other logic has been like kind of temporarily placed to the side.
Man, take care of these dudes, because after this you have the Angels and the White Sox. 2 series that we expect you to win. We expect you to beat the Angels before the break. That didn't happen, but I'm with you 100%. I don't think this team is in a position to look down the road. It's like you got to look down the street, around the corner, and focus on that, man, because it's tight right now. And the Astros are playing some good baseball. What, 17-7 since June 18th, and meanwhile you're like 9 and whatever in the same time span. They're getting better. You got to take advantage of opportunities, but I'm not the one making the calls. I guess I have to ride with them. It's all good.
When you kind of have to think about it's all good. It doesn't sound all good. You kind of have to think about what momentum, what a lack of momentum, and what messaging and a narrative means for your club. Does it eliminate the Mariners from postseason contention or even from winning the West if they drop this series? No. Mathematically, of course it doesn't. That's silly. Does it affect the club? I don't know. You tell me, right? Like, does it affect the mindset of players? Does it act as kind of an emotional punch? I don't know, man. That's where the question marks come up for me. It means nothing in terms of your final record other than not having 3 additional wins. But what does it mean in terms of your clubhouse? What does it mean in terms of your confidence? What does it mean for you to sweep? Those matter. That matters.
Yeah, the mental is a big part of this whole thing. And especially for a team that's been struggling as of late. Right, you want your team to feel like you got your best guys out there. Now I'm sure they believe in Wu. I'm not knocking Wu. We know when Wu is on, his stuff is nasty. This young man can get her done, but health has been a problem, and I just want to take care of home. It's been a while since we've taken care of home. I just want that feeling back. Can we get that old feeling back?
And remember, we promised we would limit our complaints if they were still winning at home.
Yep.
That was the unspoken bargain the Mariners made. We were like, look, we can only say so much if you're still winning at home.
Come on.
But once that starts to change,
right,
no holds barred.
You change. You're different.
you're acting brand new, Mariners. You're acting real brand new.
Real.
Robert Mays had some really interesting stuff to say about Geno Smith, about the offense. We've got some X's and O's coming up at 12:45, and then we're going to get to his thoughts on Geno and where this team can go at 1. Before then, though, Troy Aikman is beefing with a current quarterback. We'll tell you what's happening next.
Seahawks training camp starts in 5 days, and we want to send one of you and 3 friends to watch in person. All you need to do is open the Seattle Sports app and click the Win tab to find out how. If you don't already have the app, simply text app to 866-979-3776, and we'll send you a link to download. This contest runs through Sunday, July 21st. Seattle Sports is the home of the Seahawks, and your home for training camp.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing. Take advantage of our 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
Summer is here. If you're dealing with a pest problem, get the relief you need and the long-term protection you deserve with Issaquah Pest Control. Look, rodents and bugs can ruin your insulation or the structure of your home or business. Before it becomes a more costly issue, call Issaquah Pest Control, the fast, kind, and professional pest control service. And if you're in the pest control business or have an interest, they're hiring, so join the team. Issaquah Pest Control, serving the entire Puget Sound. IssaquahPest.com.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower. their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kidkind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Looking for a new ride? I recommend you visit HarnishAutoFamily.com for the hometown hookup on new Subarus, Chevrolets, Buicks, GMCs, Kias, Volkswagens, and over 300 used cars and trucks. Tell them Brock sent you. HarnishAutoFamily.com. People matter.
At Shane Company, we believe everyone deserves a personal jeweler. Whether it's a gemstone expert to show you every shape, size, and color until you find the perfect stone, someone dedicated to helping you find just the right gift in your price range, or our unmatched free lifetime warranty that protects your jewelry for life. At Shane Company, we know jewelry is personal. Come visit us and let us show you around. We go above and beyond to spark joy for all our customers. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
4,000 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year in Washington state. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients in our community. Join us at Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle for an afternoon of hope and inspiration. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th at nwhopeandhealing.org. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Player Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or e-gift card. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT. Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Taking Nugenix Total T makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix, that's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas, right? Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yes.
Text radio to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump & Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Two great quarterbacks are beefing. That's kicking off NFL headlines. So this actually is over a trademark dispute between Troy Aikman and Lamar Jackson. As you know, both players wore or wear the number 8. Lamar Jackson already has an apparel and product company called Era 8 Apparel, and his jersey number, the actual number 8, is used on a ton of this merchandise. Another company owned by Troy Aikman just filed a trademark for 8, spelled out EIGHT, for a bunch of like light beer or alcoholic drinks or whatever, and that's part of his branding. So Lamar Jackson is challenging Aikman's use of their shared number 8 with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, a formal complaint.
It's wild. Era 8 by Lamar Jackson. You 8 yet? He's obviously it's a wordplay on the number 8. They both wore the number 8. This is some human stuff, man. You can't own everything. We gonna own air next? Like, what's going on, humans? This blows my mind. There's a way for them to meet in the middle. If I'm Aikman, I go Aikman 8. You know, A8. Just make it different. Like, why go back and forth with this? Branding is important. I'm reading the article from a lawyer. She goes, look, you can own anything. She said you can own smell. You can own the smell of something. I guess that's why perfumes and fragrances and all that stuff. But this is it seems like some petty stuff. They should be able to work it out. I mean, Troy Aikman, 3-time Super Bowl champion. You got Lamar, 2-time MVP. I don't think Aikman won an MVP. So they're great in their own ways. I'm sure if you brand it correctly, it'll be clear when you're talking about Lamar.
Yes.
It'll be clear when you're talking about Troy Aikman. Come together and let's just squash this thing.
So thank you about talking about branding correctly. These two brands don't look anything alike. Also, so imagine 8 spelled out, black and white lettering like Times New Roman. That's what Troy Aikman's branding looks like. And it's they have stuff like, cheers to the chase, like stuff, playing on like a light beer or whatever. And it's 8 light beer made right. Like that's like their brand. I would never think that this is part of Lamar Jackson's Era 8 apparel where the letter 8 is not spelled out anywhere. It's just numerically the number 8. It's also heavy with Ravens color, like purple and like black and some like, white or brown or like random colors used. But like, it's very clear what's Lamar Jackson's brand. And that I would never even think this was Troy Aikman, to be frank. I would think that like this brand, Troy Aikman's, looks like some random like wine company.
It does.
I would never make the connection.
Aikman's is more of a traditional classic look, whereas Lamar's is like a modern, young type of look. It's not going to be that hard to decipher what belongs to who. Just come on, QBs. Let's all get along.
Also, look, this isn't like some random dude who took one snap in the league and is trying to file a right to use numerically the number 8 on a bunch of purple merchandise where Lamar can be like, yeah, no, I don't think so. This is Troy Aikman.
Scott in Tennessee says, well, I'll say this. One's a Hall of Famer, one's not. Lamar Jackson will be a Hall of Famer when his career is done. One's just older. MVPs. Just say that. If you want to say respect your elders, then I get that, but he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I don't know that I would make the one's a Hall of Famer, one's not argument. No. Next up, Pro Football Focus listed their 50 best players in the NFL. Any guesses as to how many Seahawks made the list?
Nobody.
0. How do you feel about it?
I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
I don't get caught up in these lists unless it benefits the Seahawks. And when it comes to top 10 corners, you got Witherspoon on it. Who on the Seahawks right now do you feel like is a legit top 50 player in the game?
Nobody.
Like, DK's not even a top 10 receiver in the game right now. So it's it's all good. Use this as motivation. By the end of the year, there will be a Seahawk on the top 50.
The top 10 are as follows. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Myles Garrett. Number 3, Trent Williams. The San Francisco 49ers had 2 guys in the top 10. Number 4, Justin Jefferson. 5, Micah Parsons. 6, Chris Jones, incredibly underrated. 7, Nick Bosa. 8, Tyreek Hill. 9, Fred Warner. I take it back. 3, 10, Christian McCaffrey. 3 top 10 players.
Oh, my gosh. Niners, let Brandon Ayuk go. You have enough talent there already.
You simply have too much.
You have too much talent.
You
have a
too much.
surplus of talent.
It's gaudy.
Get rid of it.
I think it is a little excessive. It's what we call loud. I think the amount of talent they have is just loud.
It's gauche, really.
It's gauche. It's tacky. I frankly think it's tacky. If I were them, as a person of taste and class, I would like trade Christian McCaffrey, I don't know, Seattle. Just send him somewhere, ideally north, and just kind of like take down the excess a little bit.
It's like flaunting your wealth. We get it.
Literally, it's like if you know how they say take one piece of jewelry off before you leave the house? They have all their jewelry on, and it's all very expensive.
They iced out. They drippy.
God. Niners, you have no excuse not to win a Super Bowl. What are you doing? Next up, Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton has high praise for rookie teammate Malik Neighbors. I thought this was interesting. He said he's like a clone of, drumroll, Jamar Chase.
You know what's funny is that he really is. But he's, I would say he's stronger than Jamar Chase. We talk about Ohio State as receiver U. I think you got to start talking about LSU as well. LSU's like everything you. We want a safety, a receiver, a linebacker. Like, it doesn't matter. But, yeah, that was my comp. I'm sure it was a lot of people's comp, honestly, when he came out of LSU, is that he's like a Jamar Chase, but he's strong, man.
I think that anyone wants to jump all over anyone else making a comparison to a great player and be like, what are you talking about? But Neighbors was like number 5 overall, 6 around that. Like, this is a very good wide receiver.
What it was is that you had Marvin Harrison and Roma Dunze getting all the love, and they should, because I feel like those were the best 2 receivers in the game. But I also mentioned, like a lot of other people mentioned, that this was the deepest wide receiver draft in the history of the game. So when you are the 3rd or 4th wide receiver, you are a baller.
From one New York team to another, let's look at the Jets. Sauce Gardner came in at number 10 on Jeremy Fowler's top cornerback list for ESPN. Remember, that was a list organized by surveying anonymous NFL executives and scouts and coaches. So this is what other people think of these players, not Jeremy. On Sauce Gardner, his highest ranking was number 1, with at least one executive saying he was the best corner in the league. Lowest was unranked. And Jeremy Fowler wrote that he's a polarizing figure. So one veteran AFC scout said he's the best. Who else with his length and size can cover like him? Another high-ranking personnel evaluator said one of the most overrated players in the league. You could call holding on him every play. Hear me out. I think this guy's a hater.
First off, corners do hold on every single play. That's just the nature of the beast.
Take.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you called holding, if you were strict with the rules of holding, the ball wouldn't be in play most of the time. Now, I don't watch enough film of Sauce Gardner to say if he's number 1 or number 10. He's definitely in the top 10, probably in the top 5. But yeah, he does sound like a hater. Sauce can play, though. I've seen enough to know that he can play. And I respect his game. I wouldn't put him at 10, though.
You mean you wouldn't put him like lower than 10?
Lower than 10, yeah.
Yeah, you can say, oh, he's very overrated. I think he's got more flaws in his game that just haven't been exposed.
Mm-hmm.
But we're heading into year 3 with him. Like, he's not getting exposed all that often. So
no, my man can play.
Yeah, there's a certain point where you just got to accept, like, look, he figured it out. He may not be exactly the corner that I would draft or exactly the corner I'd want, but the Jags are suing a former employee who pled guilty to stealing $22 million from them earlier this year. They filed a lawsuit looking for $66.6 million in damages. I don't know. They're not wrong. Like, but this guy stole from you.
He ain't got that.
No.
You should sue for something you know you can get. You ain't gonna get $66 million out of this dude.
Yeah.
If he had that much money, he should be part owner of the dang team. Like, what's going on? He ain't got that much money.
I remember reading that, and we had it in the timeline, but that article. So Amit Patel is the former employee. He oversaw the team's credit card program. Wow, no surprise how he got all this money. He stole more than $22 million from the team over a nearly 4-year period, and he spent it on gambling, paid off debts,
traveling,
had like a life of luxury, private jet. I mean, he was doing something very wrong and knew what he was doing was wrong. He thought he could get away with it. In an interview, he was like, look, there was a monster inside of me. I had an addiction to gambling. And it was a very insightful interview. There was just a tiny bit of like, it wasn't my fault type of thing. So when I saw this, I was like, that's what happens, man.
So when a guy who drinks gets pulled over for DUI, does he just say, man, I just have a problem with alcohol, man?
Yeah, no, you made a mistake.
Like
you
let
did
me go.
something wrong.
Nah, man, you have to suffer the consequences.
Yeah, exactly. So, the Jaguars have already asked FanDuel to reimburse some or all of the $20 million that Patel put into it. I don't know where those talks are. The latest from
FanDuel's got to be
ESPN.
like, that's not our fault.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. Patel is currently serving a 6.5-year prison sentence.
Hey.
Would living a life of luxury, think millions and millions at your disposal for 4 years, be worth 6 years in prison?
Heck no. I got kids.
Yeah.
I got kids. Now, if I were just like some grimy dude, rolling dolo, no family, I had nothing going for myself, maybe. But I got a wife and kids and people that count on me, man. I can't do that.
Seahawks training camp starts next week, and we want to send you and 3 of your friends to watch camp in person. All you need to do is go to the Seattle Sports app and click the Win tab to find out how to enter. If you don't already have the app, simply text the word app, APP, to 866-979-3776, and we'll send you a link to download. This contest runs through Sunday, July 21st. That's this Sunday. Seattle Sports is your home for the Seahawks and for training camp coverage. You're listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. We heard a great thing about Ryan Grubb's offense. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
We are getting dangerously close, Brock, to the deadline, and still there's not a tremendous amount of action right now at all, that nobody's making deals.
The obvious is the congested standings. 20-some teams are still alive, have some hope.
But I'm going to keep pushing a couple of names that make the most sense to me. Brent Rooker, Yandy Diaz, and Isaac Paredes are going to be the 3 that I'm going to have my eyes on the most.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Do you have a vehicle you're thinking of selling? You want to get the most money for it, but you probably don't want to deal with the hassle of selling it yourself. Meeting a stranger in a store parking lot after work so they can test drive your car and negotiate on a price? No, thank you. Here's why you should sell your car to my friends at Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They have a program that pays top dollar for your car up front, but it gets even better because when Wayscar Ford resells your old car, they split the profit 50-50 with you. Why? The money they save on auction buy fees, transportation costs, and travel expenses allows them to offer this. They'd much rather split that money with a customer than outside services. Are they going to offer you less? No. In fact, they encourage you to shop and compare, but in virtually every case, Wayscar Ford's been able to match or beat competitor offers. So if you're looking to sell your car, make sure you do it at Wayscar Ford in Auburn and get paid twice for it.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply. Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text FLASH to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text SLASH to 321-321. That's slash to 321-321.
America's favorite car show returns to Washington State with a jam-packed weekend of cool cars, cool people, and good times. It's the Good Guys 36th Griot's Garage Pacific Northwest National, and it's all going down July 26th through the 28th at the Washington State Fair Event Center in Puyallup. Cruise on out and check out over 2,500 of the country's coolest classics. And don't miss the tire smoking burnout competition, Nitro Thunderfest, live music, family fun, Friday night vintage drags at Pacific Raceways in Kent, and so much more. It's Washington's biggest hot rodding party of the summer, July 26th to the 28th in Puyallup. Details at good-guys.com.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Summer is the time to feel and look your best, but I'm not talking about your abs or tan. Guys, I'm talking about your hair. Restore that bald spot, reverse your receding hairline, or add volume to thinning during Advanced Hair's once yearly summer savings event. Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment begins to regrow your very own hair the very next day, and they guarantee your new hair will grow. They are the team that addressed my hair loss, and I recommend them to everyone. Take advantage of your flexible summer calendar and get the most hair for your dollar. Advanced Hair's summer sales event is on for a limited time. So get the details and schedule your free consultation today. 425-449-8185. One-day treatment, life-changing results. With Advanced Hair, your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Check out the incredible before and afters and make the call now while their summer savings event is still on. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
A lot of stuff from Robert Mays of The Athletic. We're going to talk about quarterbacks, Geno, Stafford, how you win a Super Bowl. Coming up at 1. Before we get to it, he had some really interesting stuff to say about Ryan Grubb's offense, what he saw at Washington, and what might translate to Seattle. Let's start with this.
And I think that Washington, even though they did play pretty spread out, they had elements to their offense that really tapped into what you're seeing from some of the best NFL offenses in the league. And that's, again, that those condensed formations, the stacks and bunches, and then the amount of motion that they were using. So I really do think that there are elements of what he was doing in Washington last year that align with what elite NFL offense looks like, and that's why I'm excited to see what it is.
Got to quickly couple that with his quick comparison on what he saw from Waldron's offense.
I like a lot of the things that they were trying to do on third down. You know, some of the bunches and the stacks and some of the condensed formations, just creating separation against man coverage and also giving yourself some easy completions in the middle of the field. We didn't get enough of that with the Waldron offense. If you look at the numbers from last year, I believe that Seattle had the widest average formations of any team in the NFL. And that runs counter to a lot of the really good offenses that you're seeing in the NFL these days. The Rams, the Dolphins, the Niners. These teams are more condensed, and I think that it allows them to attack the field differently.
Do you want to focus on that one first, actually? Because when he talked about, hey, what I saw from Grubb, what he in Washington's offense did on third down, looked a bit more like what works in the NFL compared to what Waldron did. What did you see from Waldron?
He said he liked what Waldron did on third downs, right?
Or no, sorry, I introduced it the wrong way. So he started by saying, I liked what Grubb did on third downs. So when he says he early, he ends by saying it was a lot different than what Waldron ever did, and he didn't like that the Seahawks were way too wide.
Perfect, because that just jacked up all the research I did. If that was that way. But on third downs, Grubb was 43% when it comes to conversion. That's third best in the pack. It was like top 10 in the country. So on third downs, essentially, when he's talking about packing it in, and when you pack it in, I automatically think of the Rams. I think of the Niners. I think the Detroit Lions did a bunch of that too. Packing it in essentially means bringing your formations in tighter, right? And what that does is you pack them in, you can easily switch routes, cross a guy here, send him deep. It just makes the communication for a defense have to happen quicker. When you're spread out, a safety's looking at formation, everything's all in front of them. It's easier to kind of diagnose what the heck is going on. When you pack it in, you cause a bit of confusion, and Grubb did that. He also said he likes the way he used motion in his offense as well. I've seen Grubb, and I always use this concept as an example because I saw it the most out of Grubb. I saw the mesh concept out of multiple formations, and a lot of the time it was from tight. They start wide, bring a receiver in, line them up tight, and boom, you have your mesh. So a mesh is a shallow cross from the right side, a shallow from the left. You typically have a sit route over the top around 10 to 12, and then you have your shots over the top. Depending on the safeties, if you got a one high look, a too high look, you think it's cover 2, then it's like a choice route. The wideout can either break it to the post, break it to the corner, depending on the coverage, right? So that's what I think he means. And he also, man, Grubb is used to dealing with elite talent. Yeah, Roma Dunze got drafted high. You got McMillan, you got Polk. All these guys are NFL type of dudes. So he understands the personnel. He understands how to manipulate a defense. And he's not afraid to throw the football, man. They had a 65% completion rate over there with Michael Penix. They passed the ball 58% of the time. They had less than 1 sack per game. Yes, in college, the gap between talent is bigger. He had the best offensive line in the game. Couldn't tell that by the national championships. No shade, Grubb. I love you, baby.
Wow.
But that Michigan defense was something special.
Wow.
Best offensive line, one of the best quarterbacks, and probably the best receiving core overall in college football with those 3, minus University of Arizona, man. University of Arizona had a nice receiving core.
I knew Curtis would do that.
You know, I set him up for that. I didn't even have to look. I go, here it comes.
Guy.
You did the no-look pass.
No-look pass. Magic Johnson. He just understands it. And it's manipulation, right? That's all an offense is trying to do. How do I put the defense in an uncomfortable position? When you're wide 2x2, 3x1, one running back in the backfield, it's all in front of you. You feel comfortable. Remember I was telling you that Rick Willing could get better at route recognition. That's what most corners, right, strive to be just great at. It's easier to recognize a route with a simple 2x2 set. It's harder when everything is bunched in, and now the guy who's on the outside, who's on the line of scrimmage, takes a step back. The inside guy goes over the top. Now he hits the shallow. Or the guy who's on the outside, boom, he motions in. Bam, he gets set. Now the outside guy slides outside. You're changing responsibilities, and it's happening so much quicker that it forces the defense to communicate at a high level. So that's what I assume he's talking about.
Yeah.
That's what the Niners do a great job of. That's what the Rams do a great job of.
Can I raise my hand and ask a question that
Sure.
I'm immediately thinking of, and just the second that you were like, oh, it makes it a little easier, then why didn't Seattle do that more? Like, why didn't Waldron construct this? I know it's a stupid question, but just to throw it your way, why not construct those looks, bunch in a little bit more in the way that you know really good offenses do?
And to add to that question, I will say, especially because he came from Los Angeles with McVay, where he does that a lot.
What?
Don't understand it. Now, Shane tried to do some stuff. We saw 2 tight ends in the backfield, using them as blockers. We did see some shifts in the formation, but I think it's because he wasn't experienced at it. He wasn't in his comfort zone yet. That's why I think Shane Waldron going to Chicago is going to be great for him, because he has a second chance at this thing. Ryan Grubb has ascended with DeBoer at such a fast rate, and they did at the lower levels. Worked Sioux Falls, I think they started at. Then you go to Fresno. Now you're UW, and now you're at the show. And when you're in college, you have the freedom to try more things, because your talent gap is typically a lot bigger. So I'm going to try this. If it doesn't work, oh, well, you'll be good to go. In the NFL, it's a win right now, we will fire you. We've seen coaches get let go mid-season after 1 year, after 2 years. In college, you have more freedom to try some things. So I think Grubb is comfortable in his skin. He's like, look, I've done this at almost every college level. Let's see if it works at the NFL level. And I think it is going to work. And I think it's going to work because he has examples of that in the league right now.
Is that one of the things that now we're going to have to wait many, many months? Is that one of the things that come week 1, week 2, week 3, you're going to be watching to see, like, to the naked eye before the snap, how does the offense look different?
Yeah. Where do they set up? Who's in motion? And what the release looks like? Because the release of the receivers can confuse a lot of these guys. And the growth of the route tree, it's not even a route tree anymore. I call it it's like route roots. You know how roots just kind of grow everywhere, all beneath the surface? Like, that's what it is now. Back in my day, or I was in that transition era to where it was 0 through 9. These are your routes.
Yeah.
And now there are a whole bunch of other routes that are being developed out there. And I think that's another thing. Grubb is young enough and old enough to understand both. He's like in his 40s, I believe. So he's seen the route tree, and now he got the route roots. It's going to be fun to watch.
Robert Mays had some other stuff to say about our changing perspective about quarterbacks, and it's made Bump and I realize how much our kind of view of quarterbacks, how you win a Super Bowl, how you build a team, evolves over time. That's next.
Get the national perspective on the Mariners with Jeff Passett, Tuesday mornings at 8:30.
The Mariners are in the middle of a window where they need to take action because you cannot let this pitching go to waste.
And John Morosi, Thursdays at 5 p.m.
At the trade deadline, for this team, with all the strong pitching they've got, they simply need to acquire some bats who don't strike out as often. That's it.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
It's time for Cookies Country Chicken gift card giveaway. Celebrate National Fried Chicken Day with cookies. That's real good chicken. 3 lucky winners, 3 $100 cookies gift cards. Enter today at seattlesports.com/win. Hurry. Contest ends July 21.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go. With the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology, Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit lexusofbellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS, lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
Hey, it's Mike Salker, and look, summer is now officially upon us, so what do you have planned? Oh, it's got to be a lot, right? Vacations, road trips, seeing all that our beautiful area has to offer. You don't want to be limited by how you look or how you feel. You've heard how I went on the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan, right? I lost 35 pounds in just 8 weeks. The results were incredible, and I couldn't be happier with how my life and energy improved. Well, I just want the same thing for you. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic is looking for 710 listeners to help this summer. Here's the ask. Schedule a 15-minute, no-obligation consultation at eastsideweightlossklinic.com. It's safe, healthy, sustainable weight loss, no pills, injections, or surgery. You eat real food that you get at the grocery store. You'll lose weight, look, and feel your very best. That feeling can be yours this summer. So what's the secret? Call Eastside Weight Loss Clinic at 425-588-0080 or go to eastsideweightlossklinic.com. That's 425-588-0080 or eastsideweightlossklinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
X marks the spot. Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract for just $15 a month. You can add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix. That's Xfinity Internet and Stream Saver for just $35 a month. All of your favorites, all in one place, only for my friends at Xfinity. So go ahead and binge some shows, stream some movies, and save some money all at the same time. For more watching and less spending, X marks the spot. Switch to Xfinity, the network made for streaming, and bring on the good stuff. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or go visit a local store today. Restrictions do apply. Internet offer requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity Internet or TV, and price subject to change. So make the call to 1-800-XFINITY.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's sea to shining sea, and water damage as far as the eye can see.
It's America.
It's freshly mowed grass and a fence that was freshly vandalized by a pack of unruly teens.
It's America.
It's also round-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Increase leads and get more customers. We create tailored digital marketing strategies that deliver results. So on your next campaign, aim higher. Go to aimyourdigital.com and get started today. aimyourdigital.com.
We all know a cancer diagnosis is physically and emotionally challenging, but it can also be financially devastating. That's why Northwest Hope and Healing is here to help. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda, a plastic surgeon who is proud to be part of Northwest Hope and Healing's mission. We provide a lifeline for breast and gynecologic cancer patients by covering essentials like food, utilities, and childcare, so patients can focus on healing. Since the year 2000, Northwest Hope and Healing has distributed over $2.5 million to thousands of local cancer patients. And you can help us make an even greater impact. Mark your calendar for Life in Color, a summer brunch, auction, and fashion show on August 18th at the Golf Club at Newcastle. It'll be an unforgettable afternoon of hope and inspiration, celebrating local cancer survivors. Get your tickets now for Life in Color on August 18th. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Mariners are back at it finally, this time with a series against the Astros. That starts today. Luis Castillo on the mound. Houston coming to town, hoping to leapfrog Seattle in the standings. And when you think about it from a Mariners point of view, it's actually a perfect opportunity to create more distance between you and the Astros, if only your offense can show up.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Robert Mays of The Athletic joined Bump and I about an hour ago, and he had so much to say when it came to the Seahawks team, but he had one line where I thought, oh, I wonder how listeners are going to feel about that. If you hadn't heard it, it was this.
Maybe I've been Geno pilled way too strongly over the last couple of years, but I said this a couple of weeks ago. You know, it's been a slow realization over the last couple of years, but I've kind of come to this place where I think Geno's my favorite quarterback in the league to watch. Stylistically, I just love the way he plays the position. I think the pocket movement has gotten so much better late in his career. And again, that down the field ball placement and the aggressiveness.
No disrespect to Geno intended on my part. There are other quarterbacks that I would probably love to have as a starter on this team, starting with one Patrick Mahomes. However, Bump, what I appreciated about our conversation with Robert when we got to the Geno conversation and the quarterback conversation, and I got a ton more cuts here for you, is that I genuinely have, I think, challenged myself in how I see quarterbacks, how I evaluate quarterbacks, and in what I think makes a Super Bowl team.
I challenge now, before I say this, let me my favorite quarterback to watch is Lamar Jackson. I appreciate Pat Mahomes. I appreciate Josh Allen, but mine is Lamar Jackson. But I do challenge people to go look at a Geno highlight tape, like him in the pocket, the back view of the all 22, and you watch the way he moves in the pocket and the throws that he makes. Some of these throws are crazy. I even think he posted like a 2-minute highlight tape of himself, and I watch it and I go, man, people are sleeping on the difficulty of throws that he's completed, his footwork in the pocket. He is fun to watch. If you're looking at traditional type quarterbacks, I will put him up there with some of the more fun ones to watch. Like, I watched Dak Prescott move in the pocket. He just looks a bit stiff to me. Like, he's an athlete, he can move, but Geno has this like move like water Bruce Lee type of feel to him in the pocket, which allows him to make some of these throws that I think go underappreciated because he doesn't light up the scoreboard or the stat sheet with these astronomical numbers. So, no, Geno is fun to watch, man. If you ever have a chance, watch the all-22, the behind the pocket version of it, and I think you'll have a greater appreciation for what Geno's capable of.
Well, and you mentioned Dak Prescott, who I think gets maybe undue blame as well, but put Geno on a team with a top 5 offensive line and CeeDee Lamb, and what does he look like then? With a great defense, and what does he look like then? So I think the quarterback will always get an undue amount of blame or praise depending on how his team is doing. And unfortunately for Geno, last year the Seattle Seahawks did not well.
No, that offensive line matters, and I think it's almost it's weird because the lack of solid play from the offensive line allowed him to make some of these crazy plays at the same time. So, granted, I love the highlight tape. I would also love for him to sit back in a clean pocket, get to that back foot, and just fire a rocket out there. But yeah, this is I'm glad someone outside of our bubble appreciates Geno, because we get a lot of flack sometimes for talking about the things we do appreciate with Geno, and people take that as if we are crowning him as one of the top tier quarterbacks in the game. No, but he is a good enough quarterback to win you some ball games, get into the playoffs, and try to make a run.
The two things I push back against are, one, that Geno is a 500 quarterback. You can't include Geno as a backup, Geno as a brief starter with the Jets or time with the Giants, and then be like, see, he's a career 500. What's his career with Seattle? Now, that is roughly 500. But also, Geno's played on a defense in those 2 seasons that was 30th or worse against the run. He's played with a running game that was much more solid in his comeback player of the year season with 1,000 yards for Ken Walker, and then pretty bad in yards per carry the following season because of that offensive line. So there's so much context that using wins as a quarterback stat, particularly with someone like Geno, doesn't feel fair at all.
Well, and let's look at this too. Patrick Mahomes had the second best defense in the game, and he threw 14 interceptions, only 27 touchdowns. You take that every single year from a guy who is your quarterback. But if Geno plays with a number 2 defense in the game, and he puts up his numbers, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,600 yards, they're in the playoffs, and they're probably winning a playoff game. So context is important. The Jets were and probably still are one of the worst ran organizations in the game. I think they have an opportunity to change things here the last couple of years. But he was with the Jets. When you think of horrible organizations in the NFL, the Jets are one of them. Who else would I throw in there? The Bengals
Worst
at one
run.
point. Who?
The Browns for a minute.
Browns for a minute. There's some change going on, but I'm talking about 2012 Jets, 2013 Jets. It was not fun over there.
Exactly. The second thing I push back against, and this lets us transition to kind of our next point here and next clip, is last year the idea that Drew Lock was right at his heels, and this year the idea that Sam Howell is right at his heels. I actually think Drew Lock was a little further along and a little more capable and had more reps.
Yeah.
There's a lot to Sam's game that is still raw. He's fun. He's got a ton of potential. But I think that what people are doing is just looking at his age, fingers crossed, praying to the football gods that Seattle can find a cheap young quarterback to take them to the promised land, because that's the most fun place to be in as a franchise. I don't know that it's Sam, but I don't think Sam's age alone should automatically make you, nor Geno's age alone, should automatically make you go, time to switch. And so one thing we talked about with Robert Mays is the idea of older quarterbacks kind of finding a second wind or finding a way to keep their game going.
This is true, I think, for him and Stafford, and I really appreciate it about both of them. They play like guys with nothing left to lose. You know, like Matthew Stafford is somebody that got out of Detroit, won a Super Bowl, and I think it really has influenced his play style. And Geno is somebody that, was making $2 million a year and then got $40 million guaranteed, and it's kind of like, you know what? I'm in my 30s. Like, I did what I had to do. Like, there's nothing left to lose. Like, I'm just going to play this way and be aggressive and let it fly, and I absolutely love that. I think that's part of the reason why I really have loved watching him play over the last couple of years.
Show me a top 10 quarterback ranking list in the league, and you're going to find a lot of young guys. Show me a list of the last 10 quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl, or how many guys in the league under 30 have Super Bowl rings, and bump. Under 30, you're going to find?
Under 35.
Under 35. One.
There's a lot of old heads playing quarterback these days. Here's next year. Theoretically, these are the guys who are going to be available when it comes to veteran quarterbacks in this league. 2025, Dak Prescott. Too much money. The Hawks ain't going for that. Jordan Love is going to get re-signed. We know that. Sam Darnold will be available. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Jacoby Brissett. Tua's going to get a deal. Tyler Heineke, Marcus Mariota, Stidham, Locke, Dalton, Fields, we shall see. Flacco, White, Winston, Mac Jones, Wentz, Garoppolo. Need I say more or continue? There's not going to be a lot out there for you as far as young guys that you can acquire or old guys that you're going to trust to bring in. That's why people look at a Sam Howell and say, all right, you got one on your roster until at least 2016. What are you going to do with them? Me personally, I'm riding Geno till the wheels fall off, and I'm probably drafting a quarterback if Sam Howell isn't ready. It's nice that you did pick up Sam Howell for a third-round pick. You essentially got the young guy that you would get in the draft, because I don't think you and I see the Seahawks losing so many games they're going to have a top 10 pick this year. That's not going to happen. It's a tough place to be in, because you want your team to have success. You want them to win, and that's what McDonald and Grubb and the gang are striving to do. But because you win, you're going to be limited in your options when it comes to the quarterback if you're looking for someone to eventually replace Geno. So I like the situation that they're in. I think if you surround Geno with a top 12 defense, with a top 15 offense, and you split games with the Niners and the Rams, you have a legit shot at this. Now it's about keeping up with the Joneses, with everyone else in the conference, because the Detroit Lions ain't going nowhere. The Packers are going to look good. We'll see with Philly if they can bounce back. There's so much going on in this conference, in both conferences, really. But when you focus just on your neighborhood, you understand there are some obstacles to get over, but Geno is and will be your best option, I feel like, for the next couple seasons.
If you were to ask me, even a year ago, but certainly at any point in my career covering football, like, how do you build a perfect Super Bowl team? One of the things I would have said is a phenomenally talented quarterback on a rookie deal. And that 10 times out of 10 would have been my answer at the position. I don't necessarily think that always that's wrong. We've seen many examples of that. But I think that whether it's Brock Purdy, whether it's Geno, whether it's Matthew Stafford going to the Rams in a trade, whether it's Kirk heading to Atlanta, wondering what's going to happen there, whether it's a stat that you said, like one quarterback under 35 having a ring currently in the league, there are lots of things over the last year and a half, 2 years that have changed my perspective on what a Super Bowl winning quarterback can look like.
Oh, it's changed, right? Jared Goff is potentially a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Another great example.
Obviously, Brock Purdy is potentially. Tua is potentially. Physically, I don't look at them and say Geno can't do anything that they do. No, I think Geno can do. The only ones I look at and I go, yeah, they're a different level. Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Everybody else, I'm saying, and Jalen Hurts, because he rushed for 15 touchdowns last year.
Did you throw Burrow in there?
Burrow, yes, and
so
Burrow.
Those five.
Everybody else, I'm saying, Geno can throw them hands with Rice, with Wilson, Herbert. Don't forget Herbert, talent-wise. So yeah, there's levels to it. Settle in on your level. You know what it's like, Stacey? You ready? It's like going to the golf course, Stacey.
Okay. Well, I thought I was ready.
And you know, and today,
could feel the golf analogy coming.
You know, and today, Stacey, I got a hook going. The hook is when I'm a right-hander, so the ball goes from right to left just severely. I got a hook going. Instead of getting to the sixth hole and saying, oh, I got to fix my hands, I got to tuck my elbow, showing all this stuff, I'm just saying, I'm going to play the hook. I got the hook today, okay? Geno. We got the Geno, okay? So we're going to play to his strengths, okay? We got the Geno. We got the Geno for 2 years. And you know what, Stacey? I've won some money with a hook before because I just played my hook. That's what Grubb is going to do. He's going to play the Geno. I'm not saying Geno is a hook. Geno's a nice little baby fade. This is some beautiful, little baby fade. Bow, okay? Geno's a little baby fade. Play the little baby fade. Grubb, you got this. And I think that if honestly, with Grubb coming into an offense in the NFL, having a veteran quarterback, I think, is the best case scenario for him. Having a rookie quarterback, both of y'all first time in the league, trying to figure this thing out. You're looking at each other sometimes like, okay, what do we do? No, you have a veteran here who's been through a bunch of coordinators who can help you the same way you can help him at times. Play the baby fade.
People now just making golf analogies on the Mac and Jack's text line. Y'all are losing me. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stay in it, and I'm going to keep it going. So instead of using a golf analogy or any analogy, I'll just say something that you and I always inevitably get back to with this conversation. Winning a Super Bowl is hard.
It's difficult.
It is very, very hard. And we all like to pretend there's some secret formula. And then you look back at winners and you go, oh, it's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes accounting for a good chunk of them. So the others, you'll have examples of exactly what we're talking about. Russell Wilson on a rookie deal, winning with Seattle when Seattle had the best defense in the league that season. All these other pieces, a phenomenal draft, sure. Ben Roethlisberger, young Ben Roethlisberger in 2005, winning. Like, you can find all kinds of examples of young franchise guy. Then you find Joe Flacco. Then you find Nick Foles as a backup, helping them finish the race.
Flacco was on a heck of a defense.
Exactly.
Had a heck of a defense.
Well, and with Nick Foles, he only came in what, week 12, 13? Like, it was late in the season, and they had a really good team around him. Really, it's just be as talented and good and dominant as you can as a team, and then have the it factor. And the it factor is easiest when it comes from the quarterback. He's in control of the game in a way no one else is. But I push back against the idea. He's in his 30s? Never mind. Oh, he's not someone they drafted, not a high pick? Never mind. Like, Brock Purdy has changed my mind about a lot. Geno, Matthew Stafford, different levels of quarterbacking from those three. But I don't know. I feel like I think we simplify so much of this.
It's a team sport. It's the ultimate team sport. No guy plays on both sides of the football anymore. Deion did it for a little bit. That was fun to watch. But I'm looking at the Super Bowl winning quarterback since 2011. Eli Manning, great defense. Joe Flacco, great defense. Russell Wilson, great defense. Tom Brady, him. Peyton Manning, one of the greatest offenses of all time. Tom Brady, him. Nick Foles, perfect situation. Tom Brady, him. Pat Mahomes, him. Tom Brady, him. Matthew Stafford, great offense. One of the greatest defensive players of all time. Pat Mahomes, him. Unless you have him at QB, and even if you do have him at QB, him needed the number 2 defense and all the land last year to get her done. So this is what we do. You play the baby fade, you hook up that defense, you're solid on special teams, and you just grind because it's going to be tough.
Brady was also never the highest paid quarterback in the league. Someone else pointing out that Joe Flacco, that was before he got paid. Yeah, and what's Geno getting paid? Again, I'm not advocating like Geno can take you to the promised land. I don't know that he can. All I'm saying is, I feel like our definitions of what good quarterbacking looks like, what a franchise quarterback needs to be, whether or not you need that guy to win a Super Bowl or be competitive in the postseason, all of that is so rigid. And there are many examples of modern quarterbacks who are pushing back against that sometimes we just refuse to see.
Hey, real quick, people giving me golf advice.
Oh, my God.
No need. The game's on point right now. Don't trip, all right?
Okay. Let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Marinating is important.
It is.
I'm very recently getting into cooking, and I've learned how important that is.
You let it sit for 24 hours?
All the difference in the world. Let me tell you what. First down, what quarterback has been marinating and maybe primed for another opportunity in the NFL?
Man, we be talking about quarterbacks all the time, and we should. They make the most money. They're the face of the team. And recently, we've been focusing a lot on Dak Prescott. What's going to happen over there in Dallas? Is Dallas going to commit to him? Are they going to pay him $60 million is what people are guessing his average is going to be. If Dak gets to the playoffs and takes these guys to a conference championship game, I think they pay him. But if not, I forgot about this young man.
I know where
2
you're
and 2
going.
as a starter, 102 attempts, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, complete 54% of his passes, 797 yards through the air, 235 on the ground, 1 touchdown. The Niners moved up to get him. Are they looking at Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Trey Lance, the Dallas Cowboys, and saying, all right, if it doesn't work out, we can take a chance on this young man, go look for a veteran or someone else, and he could be the bridge or the future. When the Niners moved up to get him, I thought they were crazy. I go, what are you doing? He's played 1 college season at North Dakota State. Physically, he seems on point, but then he gets caught up, he gets hurt, and then he's in strip clubs, and it was all bad for this dude. But he's been marinating for a couple years now. So I wonder if Trey Lance has anything to do with the decision-making when it comes to paying Dak Prescott. Who knows what he looks like? Last time we saw him, he didn't look great. I also think that Shanahan was using him as a running quarterback when he's not. He's just a quarterback who can run. So I'm interested. I forgot all about Trey Lance, and I'm doing research last night, trying to figure out what's going on, and I saw that name, and I said, you know what? He's been chilling for a little bit. Who knows? Probably not, but it's fun to think about the scenarios over there.
Yeah, I started smiling the second you kept talking, because once you said Dak, I was like, well, he's not marinating, and then I went, the same thing you did. Oh, yeah, I forgot. 2nd down. There's a position whose cap hit requires that they elevate this team and lead the charge as soon as the season starts. What position is that?
So I'm not talking about the total value of a contract. I'm talking about cap hits. And I'm looking across the league. I'm comparing this position group to the one here in Seattle. Houston has a position group that's pretty good. $22 million cap hit this year. Miami has a position group, damn good. $42 million. Chicago has that same group, $43 million. Collectively, I picked the top three at their position. Then you have Minnesota, just paid one of their guys, but the cap hit for this year is $13.1. San Francisco, $54 million. The Seahawks have a receiver room with the top three, $47.5 million cap hit this year. If they don't figure something out with Tyler Lockett next year, his salary jumps up to $30 million next year. I'm not telling you what to do with Tyler Lockett. We'll see how this season goes. But I'm looking at just a cap hit for this year. These guys got to come out and they got to ball. DK got to go for $1,200-$1,300. JSN has to either go for over 1,000 or approach 1,000. And same thing with Lockett, vice versa. All right. This group needs to perform. Highly invested in it. I think they're like third or fourth when it comes to cap hit when you isolate the first three guys on the roster. It's wild. And they need to perform right now, week one, no waiting, hit the ground running.
Third down. What did you learn from the NFL.com's best 30 over 30 list?
Learned a lot. On this list, D linemen, they got 5. DBs 1, linebackers 4. Tight ends 2, quarterbacks 4. O-line 6, wide receivers 7, running backs 1. 20 total guys on offense, 10 guys on defense. So what I've learned, you can play longer in this game if you're on the offensive side of the ball. Yes, you do take a beating, you get hit a lot, but on the offensive side, you will last longer. And also, I learned that us receivers, man, we got longevity. They talk about us being divas, but you talk about the top receivers in the league. Narrow down to like 10 guys. They will play well into their 30s now. I'd say about 34, maybe even 35. The life of the receiver is expanding. Also, what I learned, poor running backs, man. They just aren't going to last very long in this league. That's why I feel like you're going to go more of a 2-platoon type of thing. Get you 2 running backs who can get it done. So if you have a top-tier wide receiver on your team and you can afford to keep them, afford to pay them, I think it's a good investment. Now, there's only about 10 of those in the league, I feel like. But if you have one of those guys, you have to pay them. The 4 out of the 6 receivers on this list are going to be Hall of Famers, like Mike Evans, Devontae Adams. These guys are going to be Hall of Famers. So I learned a little bit. Offense, you will play longer. Receivers, if you have a top 10 guy and you can pay him, you do exactly that, and then you should be okay. But I also feel like the number, we got 4 quarterbacks. I feel like that number is going to get bigger as the years go along, too, because guys are taking care of their bodies and doing all the things that I didn't want to do when I was playing ball.
Fourth down. I'm someone who wants answers now, a solution now, like instant kind of satisfaction with, right away. However, there is one question about the Seahawks offense where none of us are getting that. There's a question about the Seahawks offense you feel will not be answered at any point in the preseason. What is it?
It won't be answered. And I'm talking about what does Geno Smith look like with his offense? Last year, he didn't play one snap in the preseason, not one. This year, we know they're having joint practices with the Titans. So I think they're going to use that to see what Geno looks like. But I don't think you're going to see Geno trot out that tunnel with his helmet on, strapped up, ready to go. He will be on the sideline. He might have the pads on, but I don't think Geno's going to play. So we're going to have to wait until week 1 to really see what Geno looks like in this offense. And there's a plus and a minus. The plus is you keep him healthy. The minus is you can try to simulate a game during practices, even if it is a joint practice with the Titans, but no one's going to hit the quarterback. No one's really going to get after you like that. So you don't really know. The coaches will get enough out of those practices to make them feel comfortable with Geno. It's going to be Geno regardless. Sam Howell is not coming in here and taking nobody's spot. I think it's going to take a year or 2 if that is the case. But you're not going to see Geno during the preseason games. And if you do, then I will be pleasantly surprised, and I'm all for it. But I also understand how important he is to this offense. You cannot risk it, because if Geno goes down and you have to depend on Sam Howell, it will be fun to watch. He's going to throw the football 600 times. He's going to take some chances, but he also threw 21 interceptions last year. He's still learning the game. So, don't expect Geno during these preseason games. He'll get his work during those joint practices.
All right, coming up next, we're going to preview this big series against Houston. And at 45 after, get your questions in for what I need to know. Send those now to the Mac and Jack's text line. Any question, 866-979-3776.
The Dugout. Go in depth with the Mariners.
Leaps up and he makes the catch.
With voices like Ryan Roland Smith, Gary Hill, and Mike Blowers.
Long-term pitching, if you have that foundation, good things are going to happen.
It makes him so valuable when he's hitting.
This team is a team that's going to have to bunch hits together, put pressure on the defense.
Hear from the players and coaches, and go behind the scenes with insider Shannon Dreyer.
They find a way to grind it out, stay in the game. I thought it was a really good win for them.
The Dugout, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. on Seattle Sports.
This is a paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Under 12 years of Bob Ferguson as Attorney General and Chief Prosecutor, we in Washington have seen a lot of increases. This, of course, includes a 26% increase in violent crime, 58% increase in homicides, and Washington ranking 4th in the country in stolen vehicles in 2023, behind California, Texas, and Florida. Oh, and according to the FBI, Washington was the 8th most dangerous state between 2020 and 2022. Don't ask for help if you drive a Hyundai or a Kia that's been stolen. What has AG Bob Ferguson done? Bob's been busy planning his governor's campaign and keeping Washington last in the country in law enforcement officers per citizen. As the leader of the Bob for Bob committee, I encourage you to vote Bob if you want more of these crippling policies for Washington, so Bob gets what he's always wanted, governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go. With the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology, Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit LexusofBellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS, lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
The biggest scuba sale in America starts next Thursday at Underwater Sports in North Seattle. Clearance prices on masks, regulators, computers, fins, tanks, BCs, free photo and video seminars, free fitting, and incredible savings on a custom fit dry suit. Want to learn to scuba dive? Big savings on beginner classes. Underwater Sports 47th Annual Divers Fair starts next Thursday at the North Seattle Underwater Sports Store. Don't miss the biggest scuba sale in America.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Players Spotlight.
Ever since I got here, I want to win a World Series in Seattle, and this city's starving for another winning team.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Hear ye, hear ye. The Washington Midsummer Renaissance Fair starts this weekend at Sky Meadows Park in Snohomish. This year, we're embracing the splendor of the Elizabethan era and celebrating Renaissance Fair culture. For our opening weekend, a magical midsummer celebration awaits. Witness grandeur, whimsy, and melody as you don your most splendid attire. Parking is free. The Washington Midsummer Renaissance Fair. Tickets sold at WashingtonFair.com.
The Mariners are all about giving you more baseball for your buck. Snag seats for as little as $10 on select dates all season long with Mariners Value Games. Plus, be sure to check out the Mariners Value Menu, available at every game and featuring 11 items priced from $2.50 to $4. Enjoy ballpark classics like hot dogs and peanuts, new treats like churros and chocolate chip cookies, and more. To get your Value Game tickets and check out all the value options at T-Mobile Park, go to mariners.com/value.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Coming up in 15, it's What I Need to Know. So get your question, any question in. Last one of the week, 866-979-3776. Again, 866-979-3776. Right now, we are previewing Mariners Astros, closing out our Mariners conversation for the day. Let's start with the bigger conversation. It's not about game 1 or 2. It is Brian Wu starting in game 3. People a little upset that it's not Logan. Jeff Passan, not one of them.
I get that Logan Gilbert has been the best of the group, but I want to caution people that this is not a dumb organization. It's quite the opposite, actually. They're very good at what they do in a lot of ways on the baseball operation side. And so I just think sitting here and yelling about something like that is probably misguided, and because there is very likely a reason and explanation, and the only reason you don't know it is because Ryan Divish and Adam Jude haven't been up at the ballpark the last couple days.
Feeling a little bit better about it after hearing that from Jeff Bump?
Nah. I mean, I'll take his word for it. My man is connected, has great perspectives, knows the game, but I got to go off of how I feel sometimes, man. And this is not what I would have done, but I'm not getting paid to run the ball club and make these decisions. I just want to take care of these dudes. And not to say that they can't take care of them. ESPN has them with a 53% chance to win this game today, but I hate those probabilities as well too. I can't stand them. But if it's in our favor, then I'll take it. No, I want your best to go out there against a team that is on your heels right now. They are chasing you down the block like that little chihuahua did to me when I was 10 years old, and they are nipping at your heels right now, and I want to take care of them. There's enough in this rotation to do that. They've shown that already. I'm not sure if Wu has a win or not against these guys, but you're 5-2 against them. Mentally, you have an advantage, kind of. They're leaning on the sense of they've been playing bad as of late. I'm the Astros speaking to the Mariners. Astros are thinking they haven't been playing well. Now is our chance to reestablish ourselves as the big dogs in the division. So there's some mental gymnastics going on both sides of the diamond right now.
Let's talk about where the Astros are. They went 17-6 in their final 23 games before the break, making up 9 of that 10-game lead, making up 9 games on that 10-game lead that Seattle had. During that time, they've averaged 6 runs per game. This is despite not having Kyle Tucker, who they hope to have back at the end of the month. In their rotation, they don't have Justin Verlander. They're also hoping to have him back at the end of the month. In the meantime, they've been leaning heavily on Ronel Blanco as their best starter. He will appear in Game 3 of this series against Wu. Blanco's approaching a career high in innings pitched. His career high is 125 1/3. He's at 109. So the Astros are in desperate need of help for their starting rotation, though are pretty set for this weekend in terms of who they like on the mound. It's going to be a really, really tough one for Seattle. I don't love the stat averaging 6 runs per game during that stretch of 23 games before the All-Star break.
Nah, but what I do love is that on the 5th of May, Hunter Brown took that L against the Mariners. On the 28th, took that L. On, 2 appearances. Bam. So, look, mental. I'm looking for any edge we can get.
I feel it.
Any edge we can get. Hunter Brown. You know what's up. You know what's up, Hunter Brown. Let's get after him. Blanco is the one that scares me the most, obviously, man. He is his story is great. If he wasn't wearing an Astros uniform, then
1,000%.
I'd feel completely different about him. But young man, you got the wrong jersey on, so I can't show you no love. But I appreciate his journey and what he's done this year. Take care of the ones you're supposed to take care of, and then battle against the ones that feel like they could have the advantage, because you know that for the most part, your arms of the mound are going to give you an opportunity. Like, you can't play the typical Mariners game of just, all right, get through the starter, get to the bullpen, and hopefully something happens. You gotta push the starter around a little bit, get to that bullpen, handle business there, and remind Hunter Brown that you haven't had success against this ball club this year.
Well, and let's hope that Julio is a big part of that. Now, if you look at Julio's season, we're all disappointed. In his last 30, his slugging is 427, which is actually like much higher than it has been all year long. He's heating up slowly. Last 15, slashing 365, 411, 596. What we're really focusing on, though, are the couple games he had before hitting the All-Star break. Last 7, slashing 591, 654, 955. Slugging. Now, that is not sustainable, but consider that he's got 2 home runs in his last 7. He is 13 of 22, 4 runs, 5 RBI. He's got a walk in there, just 9 strikeouts. We've seen an improved version of Julio. It doesn't feel like it because it's not the final taste we had in our mouth before the All-Star break with those final couple games against the Angels, but there is some momentum that Julio can cling to heading into this series.
There is, man. 9 hits in the last 4 games for this young man. He's gone yard, got a few RBIs. You're just looking for some baby steps. And in the month of July, like you mentioned, you highlighted, he's been good. He has been one of the better baseball players in MLB in the month of July. What does a break do? Does it help you? Does it hurt you? Like, what did Julio do during this break? We talked to Ryan Rowland-Smith few days ago, and I told him about the 2 times I had a break. One was great. I stayed in Seattle and did what I was supposed to do. The other one, I went home, got distracted, came back, and didn't feel like myself. So what works for Julio? Who was he around? What was he working on? We won't have the answers to that, but whatever he did, I hope it was conducive to him just continuing to improve, man, because he's got a 4-hit game this month, 2 3-hit games, 3 home runs so far this month. This is the best month of the year for him. We're just hoping he can get it going. We don't need that amazing August that we had last year. We just need something better than what we've seen so far this year.
Well, and look, improvement for a baseball team comes over time, right? You could have a player get really hot for 3 games and it doesn't say much of anything. But all of that being said, we know, because Scott Service said it, that the fundamental focus for this club was improving offensively. We know that they entered the All-Star break with one goal in mind. How do we fix these bats? How do we fix these offense? So even though any improvement is going to take a lot longer to truly show up and judge, I do think there's a statement to be made with these 3 games. I do think it's kind of this, maybe like a measuring stick isn't a fair word, but you had one goal. You had one goal, one plan entering the break, and this is your first chance to exercise it. What are we going to see?
What you're going to see. This is let's manifest this. All right, you're going to see Julio go yard at least once this series. You are going to see 2 games out of the 3 where you have less than 10 strikeouts. You are going to see Wu throw his 65, 70 pitches, give up maybe 1 earned, and the bullpen's going to take care of it. I think this series is going to be, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the second half, right? Granted, you do have an ease up in the schedule. I guess we say that. People hate when we say it gets softer, but it does, okay?
Fair.
Angels aren't that good. Granted, they did win the series last time we saw them, and the White Sox are struggling as well. There's just opportunity, and when opportunity knocks, you let them in, and this is it right here. Let opportunity in and go get it, but you have to be yourself, and being yourself is being good on the mound, but you also have to improve, and that's where Polanco, I'm looking at Polanco and looking at Luke. If Polanco and Luke can have above average series with a sprinkle of Julio continuing to do his thing, they should be okay.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Astros, you know, in a blink of an eye, they can put up 7-8 runs on you real quick.
Yeah, I really, really don't like how often they get the ball in play and make contact. They are not a top 5 team in home runs. They are a top 5 team in batting average. We heard earlier, who are we speaking with? Jesse Rogers say, look, I know it's an archaic stat, but it's absolutely worth looking at. This is a team that gets a lot of offense going. They've not been facing your pitchers per se. But this is going to be a big, big matchup for Kirby, for Luis Castillo, and for Wu.
Am I the only one? Like, I understand people don't look at average the way that they used to. But to just ignore it is just so irresponsible to me. It's so irresponsible. Like, they're putting the ball in play more often than anybody else as a team.
Yep.
How are we going to look at that and say, it doesn't mean much? I think it means something. I look at the home runs, obviously hitting with power. That means something as well, unless you're the A's, because they are 4th in the league in home runs. But nothing's happening for them. So, yeah, pick and choose what stats you want to look at. I'm just looking at, strikeouts. Limit the strikeouts as usual. Been begging for that. Get some run support early so your arms can settle down and pitch freely. There's nothing like hearing Logan say, look, man, when I get some run support, I'm able to just go out there and do my thing. I'm sure all the other arms share the same point of view.
All right, get your questions in for What I Need to Know. We're wrapping up the week by answering your questions. So if you have one, text it now. You can text a couple if you want to the Mac and Jack's text line. That is 866-979-3776. What I Need to Know coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
You know him, you love him. John Morosi is here.
A course correction is needed. When I'm asked on national shows, hey, which team has the greatest onus to make a big move at the deadline? In terms of adding a bat, it's the Seattle Mariners. With the arms, I would say it's more the Los Angeles Dodgers, given the state of their rotation right now. But when it comes to which team in the entire industry faces the greatest pressure to add not just one, but probably 2 bats, it's Seattle.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Heward here, along with IRG Physical and Hand Therapy President and CEO Shannon O'Kelly. Now, Shannon, I need to ask you if what I've been hearing is true. You don't need a referral, really, to see a physical therapist in the state of Washington?
That's exactly right, Brock. The state of Washington is a state that has what's called direct access. That means that if you get up in the morning, for example, and you hurt your back or did something to your muscles or tendons or joints, you can call a physical therapist directly, and we can get you in that same day and start your care and your recovery process.
How can patients get scheduled with IRG?
Oh, it's easy. You just contact us at irgpt.com. We'll direct you to our concierge service, and we'll take care of all that for you. We handle all the authorization, verification. We want our patients to understand their insurance benefits and what the outcomes are going to be with their visit to IRG Physical and Hand Therapy.
Please, please, please don't let injuries keep you from your passion. Schedule online today at irgpt.com and start the journey back to your best self.
For eligible individuals, 18 and older only. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
How are your hearing aids sounding now?
A little tinny.
Okay, 2 seconds.
With Jabra Enhanced Selects Premium Package, better hearing doesn't happen in a doctor's office. It happens at home. All done remotely from initial testing to adjustments.
How are they sounding now?
Fantastic. So much better.
You get the same advanced hearing aid technology and professional support you expect from a clinic at a fraction of the cost. And if you have any issues, we'll make adjustments 7 days a week, no charge.
Oh, you people are wonderful.
Our premium package includes hearing aids, 3 years of follow-up care, plus a 3-year warranty with loss and damage coverage, and a 100-day money-back guarantee.
I hear better than I ever thought possible.
Save $300 on Enhanced Select 500 hearing aids automatically at checkout. Just go to jabraenhance.com/try. That's JABRA enhance.com/try. JabraEnhance.com/try.
Everyone always asks me, what were your top reasons for choosing Advanced Hair? Well, allow me to share, along with some details, on, get this, their once-a-year summer savings event. Okay, first off, Advanced Hair stands by the results, and I'm living proof those results are second to none. With Advanced Hair, your own natural hair is guaranteed to grow. Secondly, Advanced Hair combines top-rated physicians with modern technology, creating a concierge quality experience that blew away my expectations. And lastly, Advanced Hair's Advanced FUE begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. It is quick, simple, and easy. Now, if you have a flexible schedule this summer and you've been waiting for that special savings opportunity, well, it's here. Advanced Hair's Summer Savings Event will get you the most hair for your dollar. It's their best offer ever. For details to schedule your free consultation, call 425-449-8185. One-day treatment, life-changing results. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Before and after pictures at advancedhair.com.
For generations, Shane Company has had a passion for gemstones. We've worked with the same diamond sources who reserve the best rough stones just for us. Once cut and polished, we take our time to handpick the best of the best. We're known for our rainbow of colors, 16 different shades of natural sapphires. At Shane Company, we truly obsess over cutting each stone to reveal its richest color and vibrancy. And we'll continue to source the most beautiful gemstones on Earth so that you can always shine bright. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Savings Event going on right now through July 21st. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Savings Event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. I spoke with Dr. Meyer, the medical director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, and Dr. Meyer said Swedish CyberKnife patients are really satisfied with their experience. They report very few side effects, and they're seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later. To learn more about CyberKnife for prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/cyberknifeprostate or call 206-320-7187. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
What I Need to Know is brought to you by Cookies Country Chicken. Get your question, any question you have, into the Mac and Jack's text line right now. 866-979-3776. Here we go. Question number 1. What are you most looking forward to at training camp?
Just seeing what the offense looks like, what type of concepts, formations, what the play calling is looking like. I really want to I've watched a lot of UW football over the last couple years, obviously working for the Pac-12 network. Rest in peace. So I know what UW look like. I want to see what the Seahawks look like.
I am most looking forward to, it gets really, really hot, but I do try to remain really grateful that part of our job is during a random day in the summer, a random afternoon in the summer, just standing outside by a lake watching players play this game that we really like talking about and kind of evaluating. I'm genuinely looking forward to the atmosphere and environment is what I'm saying. Outside of that, I think some of these rookies, I didn't get to check out rookie camp. I only saw one day of mandatory mini camp, so I have not seen a lot of these guys in action. Both drafted corners are on the NFI list, but we should get a good look at a lot of other guys.
Yep.
What I need to know, why do they insist on keeping Wu a starter if he can't go longer than 4 innings and stay healthy?
Because you have to train those muscles. What if you just, and he's not built for the pen, right? If they thought he was a bullpen type of guy, they would have done that. He is their best option, and you have to crawl before you walk. He is crawling now. I think when it's all said and done, he'll be able to go 90 to 100 pitches like all these other starters and get her going. So, yeah, but he's got some stuff, man. Don't sleep on him. When he's on point, it's nasty.
Oh, my God. This texter's last text was from a week prior, and I feel so bad. I don't remember if we answered it. It was on a day I was out. Do you guys remember a text of my 17-year-old daughter's boyfriend? Do you remember that one?
No.
Dated for a year. He broke up with her over text while she was out of town. What can I possibly do to make her feel better?
Wow.
We're going to find him.
What can you do? Man.
You got to take her out.
Buy her something.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know. This is a week ago. I want to know how she's doing. I hope she's okay. I hope she's feeling a little bit better. Aw.
Yeah, I think take her out to dinner.
Yeah.
Maybe catch a movie or something. Just
some
to
time.
Let her know that, hey, like, we're still here for you.
Yeah. Quality time.
Yeah.
Kind of make her feel better. What I need to know. Ooh, I like this one. Will the Mariners be in first place Monday morning?
Yes.
Yes.
They will be.
They better.
Curtis, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. What I need to know, what are y'all doing this weekend?
Soccer tournaments. My kids' soccer tournaments. I might be waking up really early tomorrow morning though and getting around it before their 12 o'clock game.
We're all going to an old coworker's wedding on Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what I need to know. What are you barbecuing? Your drink of choice, and what are you cooking? So you're barbecuing. You're in front of the grill right now. What are you grilling? What are you drinking?
I'm grilling carne asada. That's how my wife's family gets down. And I'm either drinking a margarita or a Modelo. That's what they like to fix me.
I like that
I am the grill master of my family now. My father-in-law has hand over the tongs.
Wow.
He says, sir, it is you.
So when Derek and I went to the cookout, he and his friend T were joking that guys can't help. Like, no matter what you're doing, if you're holding the tongs, after you hold them, you click them.
Click them.
They were joking. Like, no matter what they did, they do this little, like, double click after. And I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, what is that? They were like, you can't, your body just does it.
Yeah. Automatic. Like when you grab a power drill, you got to chip before you use it.
Or if you have a stud finder, you got to put it on yourself first and be like, it seems to be working just fine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's see. Would you rather attend a wedding on a Friday or Sunday?
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. No offense, Brandon. Congratulations to you and Emily. We can't wait to see you guys and celebrate you guys. I would rather do almost anything on a Friday. Yeah. Let's see what I need to know. Whether you watch the Paralympics, and if so, what's the best event to watch? No, but I feel like I should.
I don't know what it's called. I don't want to be disrespectful, but they're in the wheelchair just racing.
Okay, so like a version of track and field?
I think it's still track and field.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, God. 206. What I need to know. Your favorite dad joke.
Favorite dad joke?
I mean,
Dad, I'm hungry. Hi, I'm Dad.
Have you ever said that in your life?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, God.
For sure.
I don't know. You guys have dad moments. What's your last dad moment where you were like, I've become my father, or where you were like, I'm just very dad right now? Like, I'm got a ton of dad energy.
Pretty much just walking around the house complaining about how people don't pick things up. You know? Like Jada, I'm pointing things out. That's Jada. That's Michael, Kobe. Pick it all up.
What I need to know, what is the best video game that became a show or movie? So the best movie or show that started as a video game first. I already have my answer.
I mean, Mortal Kombat was fire.
I was going to say Last of Us started as a video game and was an excellent series in its premiere season. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's like a typical zombie show, but it's just so well done. It's on HBO. Pedro Pascal is the lead.
It was a video game first?
It was a video game first.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you played through the game, you already know everything that happens in the upcoming season, but yeah.
I just watched Sonic with my kids. It's kind of fire. I think it has 2 movies out.
Wait, hold up. Wasn't that movie like remade because the initial version was so bad? Do you guys remember that?
The animation, it looked nothing like Sonic the Hedgehog. So then
they made a whole movie like that before someone was like, wait, do a side by side.
I think the trailer hit and people were like, this looks nothing like Sonic the Hedgehog. So they went back to the drawing board and then
wasted all that money.
Yeah. Highly recommend Last of Us.
Okay.
It is an emotional watch. And I think the next season will be the same. But it's very good.
Got you.
Let's see what I need to know. Kevin and Callie just said, Bump, I need your carne asada recipe.
Family secret, brother.
What I need to know. We had Jesse Rogers on with us earlier, and he said, I was playing a clip of John Morosi, who said, look, this is a smart organization. 206 said, if the Mariners organization is so smart, why have they just been mediocre for so long and not won a World Series?
Because when they look at their bank account, they're only allowed to withdraw so much.
Yeah. I think being smart is different from having resources. So I think you can try to do with what you have, and then in general, teams that don't spend typically don't win a World Series. It's just, it is what it is. Talent's expensive. Keeping talent is expensive. Getting talent all at once or adapting mid-season with trades, all of that takes risk, gambles, and a lot of money. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you see Houston's dominance with wonderful front office moves, but also some spending. The Yankees haven't won since 2009, but they're always in the conversation for a reason. Those teams spend a ton. What I need to know. Oh, someone recommended Fallout as another one that was a video game that became a show. That's an Amazon Prime original, I believe. Okay, hot summer day. Would you rather be on an ocean beach or lakefront, like by a cabin?
Lakefront. More control over this situation.
The water's not as rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no sharks and stuff in the, unless those bull sharks can go from fresh to or salt to fresh. Got to watch out for those bull sharks.
Yeah. All right, you guys, that will do it for us this week. Let's end with the final prediction. Who hits the home run for the Mariners in first game of the series?
Julio.
You can't choose Julio. Bump already took it. Curtis.
I'm gonna go with Cal Raleigh.
Oh no. I'm gonna wild card it. No, I'm gonna say if is Garver expected to be, I'll go someone random. I'll pick like a Garver. I'll go Garver.
Okay.
All right, you guys, don't forget game 1 of this series is later this evening. Coming up next, Wyman and Bob.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
You know him, you love him. John Morosi is here.
A course correction is needed. When I'm asked on national shows, hey, which team has the greatest onus to make a big move at the deadline? In terms of adding a bat, it's the Seattle Mariners. With the arms, I would say it's more the Los Angeles Dodgers, given the state of their rotation right now. But when it comes to which team in the entire industry faces the greatest pressure to add not just one, but probably 2 bats, it's Seattle.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You know what's coming to Snoqualmie Casino? A brand new, huge expansion, new hotel, an expanded gaming floor, a spa, and a whole lot more. For now, they got some great country concerts coming. Craig Morgan on August 22nd, Twitty and Lynn on September 26th. And before the show, stop by for Falls Buffet or Vista, which always has amazing happy hour menus starting at 4 o'clock. It's all available at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest, only 30 minutes from downtown. Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino.
You gotta love baseball season, but when it comes to your windows, you don't want any curveballs. Rick Riz here, reminding you to trust your clubhouse with locally owned Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Experience the difference with high-quality products, expert installation, and top-notch customer service. It's always a home run with Pella. Schedule a free consultation with Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Just go to PellaPNW.com. That's PellaPNW.com.
So, what are you reading?
I'm checking out the ratings on the new TVs, and it looks like Samsung, LG, and Sony got the best scores.
Just like last year. What about those new high dynamic range TVs?
They got the highest scores of all, but their prices are really high.
Did you check online?
Yeah, their prices were about the same.
Well, there's one place where we can get a hot deal on those top-rated models.
Where?
At Video Only. Check out the ratings on TV stores.
I see. Video Only scored better than the others.
So, if you want the best deal on the best